being here, friends. We know you've got many, many choices to make every single morning, and we're always grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. Thank you, Cookie, for that song suggestion. I think it's absolutely appropriate. Again, friends, thank you for being here. Please, you know what to do. Tapping is clapping, sharing is caring, liking is loving. There's a gifting goal today. Don't forget, we are crowd-funded. You want to support the channel? Best way to do that is through the various tips that are out there at Factsstillmatter. Oh, thank you. Also, don't forget about joining our team. And if you haven't yet joined our Discord, please consider doing that. Also, I forgot to mention that factsstillmatter.site, which is our hub, Facts HQ. You can find the link to that in the link tree that's in my bio. There's a whole bunch of brand new merch that's in the merch store. If you feel like being radical and letting your freak flag fly, you can do so by picking up some merch that's in the merch store. And we are marching. So we've had this conversation before. TikTok has changed their subscription terms. It's just wild. So I think the best way to support the channel is to do the various things. So thank you all in advance. Gonna have a bit of a special guest later. Someone with a unique perspective on the events that happened in Utah, and we're gonna get into that because there's just a lot to unpack. And I've certainly I'm going to say perhaps have a bit of a different perspective maybe on the events of last week, just because, attempting to navigate through the noise and the rhetoric. But I think I want to first start with Kash Patel. To say that he is, well, first of all, this administration is just loaded with absolute incompetence. But he may be at the top of the heap. And that says a lot, considering that Pete Hegseth is SecDef, or Secretary of War. Sorry, that's right. And Pam Bondi, the AG, and Dr. Oz, and Howard Nutlick, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It is just, it's a literal clown car of incompetence. But Kash Patel, the FBI is a revered institution globally, or at least it was, just because of career law enforcement officials out there doing what they're supposed to do by keeping the American citizenry safe. He has absolutely no desire to do that. So the question is, how much more tolerance will the administration have with his incompetence? And we can point to a variety of things. Going through the testimony, so he's back in Capitol Hill in front of a Senate hearing. We played some horrible sound yesterday that kind of really upset me towards the end of our show, saying that the only information that they have regarding the Epstein list, there's no credible information that they have, right? Aside from the fact that there's 20 survivors that stood in front of Capitol Hill and told their stories because I believe women. That's bad enough, but there's just a series of things that happened over the course of that testimony yesterday, and you can tell he's caught, so to speak, because he reacts with anger, as you would expect. When you're cornered, right? If you're a honey badger, or you're a wolverine, or you're a wounded animal, and you're cornered, you have one particular way that you're going to react, and his reaction is obvious, and they're big tells, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to play some of the sound from some of the testimony from yesterday, because it is to call it irresponsible is one thing, but it's so easy just to kind of debunk it. So I'm going to kind of go through the steps here to literally debunk the things that he said from his testimony, and then we're going to get into Pam Bondi. How Pam Bondi seems to think that, I don't know, First Amendment rights don't apply. And the president seems to agree, and yet we told you that when he said last year or a few years ago, we talked about this leading up to the election, that he would terminate rules and articles of the Constitution, and nobody wanted to believe that. But that's where we are. So the mountain of lies gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But let's start with Kash Patel, because this tells you a lot. Hang on one second.
I do not have an enemy.
Okay, so he was questioned about. The first thing he was questioned about was
I do not have an enemies
list. Okay, well, that's not true, because there's reporting from his book that he wrote Government Gangsters back in 2022, where he literally named names. Eric Swalwell, Adam Schiff, Paul, Christopher Steele, and others including Lloyd Austin, names you'll know. Lloyd Austin, former SecDef, James Baker, Bill Barr, John Bolton, Joe Biden, John Carlin, Pat Cipollone, Hillary Clinton. These are just names you know. James Comey, Mark Esper, the former SecDef under Trump, Alyssa Farah, who was a leader on the comms team in the White House, who went on to Fox News, who basically said this is bullshit. After J6, she quit and said, I'm out of here. Kamala Harris, Fiona Hill, Eric Holder, Robert Hur, the special counsel to investigate the Biden document investigation, Loretta Lynch, Andrew McCabe, former FBI deputy director, Robert Mueller. The list goes on and on. Pat Philbin, John Podesta, Susan Rice, Peter Strzok, former FBI counterintelligence agent, Alexander Vindman, Christopher Wray, former FBI director, Adam Schiff. So he forgot that he had a list. So all those are all criminals, right? All criminals. Yeah. So all the people that were doing their job, and because you didn't like what they had to say, because they were investigating the corruption, they were investigating crimes, they were investigating J6, all these kinds of things, and they didn't like it, right? Well, he didn't like it, I should say. Oh, then it continues.
Do you now, as a grand jury witness, authorize this committee access to a transcript of your own testimony?
Well, I don't know if I singularly have that authority. I don't think that's how grand jury testimony works.
Well, let's see. So grand jury testimony, really. So Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, which is Federal Rule Procedure 6E, witness disclosure of own testimony. A witness is permitted to disclose their own grand jury testimony. Rule 6E's secrecy obligation does not bind a witness. Rule 6 governs grand jury secrecy and primarily applies to grand jurors themselves, interpreters, court reporters, government attorneys, and their staff, and any person to whom disclosure is made under a court order. These individuals are prohibited from disclosing matters occurring before the grand jury except as specifically allowed. Courts have consistently held that witnesses are not among the persons listed in Rule 6 who are bound to secrecy. Therefore, a witness may reveal the substance of their own testimony to anyone that they choose. Okay, back to the tape, Jim.
You do, because you are the witness.
Exactly.
You do that.
There's also a court order on that case, sir. You want me to violate a court order?
Are you under a specific court order not to reveal your testimony in the grand jury?
Senator, I can't go into court orders granted by the DC District Chief Judge.
Wrong. Again, the GC District Court judge said, no, he can release it. I gave you the rules, but he's the witness. He can certainly release it anytime he wants to. The actual, the court case involving Mr. Driscoll, who is one of the people that is suing the Trump administration, or in particular, where is it? In particular, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and others. So this is a gentleman by the name of Mr. Ingracia, who was interviewing Driscoll, called him in for an interview, and these are the series of questions. Remember, Mr. Patel's claim is that no, under the FBI's direction, we don't ask somebody who they're voting for. Okay, so these are the questions. How would you define the most significant threats to the United States? Mr. Driscoll answered. Question 2, what are your thoughts on the structure of the FBI? Mr. Driscoll answered by saying, in order to constantly improve, any organization needs to evolve, and the FBI is no exception. Effective evolution with an improved and or enhanced end state must be done with a measured and strategic approach. Great, cool. Next question. Who did you vote for? Driscoll refused to answer this question and stated that it was an inappropriate question with Hatch Act implications. Question 4, do you agree that the FBI agents who, quote, stormed Mar-a-Lago to include the rank and file should be held accountable? FBI response from Mr. Driscoll, no, FBI personnel were doing their job in furtherance of court orders, legal warrants, and a property predicated investigation. Question 5, what are your thoughts on DEI? Driscoll answered. Question 6, when did you start supporting Donald Trump? Driscoll refused to answer. Question 7, have you voted for a Democrat in the last 5 elections? Response 7, Driscoll refused to answer the question. We got our daily restriction, guys. If you could please tap like crazy, gift like crazy, do all the things. So When you have the FBI director swearing an oath before Congress, it's not binding unless there's contempt charges brought against him, but those contempt charges would have to be brought against him by his own FBI, because the Congress can certainly petition the FBI, right? But what's going to happen? So there's just a little bit more sound in that.
That grand jury testimony has been released.
In what forum was it released?
Publicly.
We'll check on that.
Incorrect. The judge shot that down as well. Judge Boasberg denies the political bid to unseal grand jury testimony. This time, the contents of the FBI Director Kash Patel's grand jury transcript that Patel himself said should come out. Boasberg notes that Patel incorrectly claimed he couldn't disclose details. The entire thing is a lie. All of it. All of it. He sat before members of the Senate and got absolutely embarrassed. And his only response was to try to call in old bullshit. Russia. Excuse me, this, that, the other thing. It's an embarrassment. The claims that he made about when you let good cops be good cops, that was debunked yesterday through the transcript from the DA when they were talking about the charging documents in the Charlie Kirk case. Because there was no reference to the FBI doing anything. Absolutely nothing. There was a depending on how you interpret what I heard yesterday and then read from the transcript and the charging documents, it was not a full-blown confession to his family. It was, yeah, okay, I'm involved, and eventually came to the courthouse. We don't know exactly if there was a true untrue confession. There was documents, there's text messages. We're going to get into all of that. Absolute incompetence. Absolute incompetence. We've got more. Don't worry. We've got more. So this was a very heated exchange between Adam Schiff and Kash Patel. Obviously, Adam Schiff was on Kash Patel's hit list. We know that from his own book. Okay, so needless to say, there's not a lot of love lost between.
Who are those cabinet members that Ghislaine Maxwell was referring to that were part of this cast of characters associated with Mr. Epstein? Who are they?
So part of the testimony that we got from Ghislaine Maxwell in that audio that we played, and then in the transcript, she referenced when Todd Blanche was questioning her, she referenced members of your cabinet, people you know, friends of yours, without naming names. So Todd Blanche, in the Department of Justice, the assistant DA or AG or whatever his title is, I think it's assistant attorney general or deputy attorney general, said, yeah, she said these are people that are in your cabinet, people that you would know. So Adam Schiff is following up on that question.
The deputy attorney general took the aggressive step that no one else did. Transcript in front of me.
You don't have the transcript in front of you, but yet you're citing it. Why don't you have that? Did you not think you were going to get asked questions about that? Considering it was your Department of Justice that did these investigations. Interesting.
Picking it piecemeal. The American public can read the entirety of that.
One last question, because you clearly won't tell us the cabinet members associated with Mr. Epstein. Let me ask you one last question. And that is, right after she gives this testimony, in front of an FBI agent among others, she's transferred to a minimum security prison, not suitable for a sex offender like herself.
Correct.
Who made that decision and why?
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Decisions made it in
prisons.
Wow. Hold on a second. Let me go back to this. Here we go.
Transferred to a minimum security prison, not suitable for a sex offender like herself. Who made that decision and why?
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Decisions made it in
prisons.
The Bureau of Prisons decided on their own, without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No. I think the American people believe the truth. Wow. That I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of inmates.
Not in the weeds?
What I am doing is
You're not in the weeds. the most high profile case, and in my opinion, the biggest scandal in U.S. political history, in my opinion. I mean, there's a few others that we can point to connected to this administration, but in my opinion, this is the biggest scandal. And you don't think you're going to get asked questions about this? We've already know what the Bureau of Prisons policy is, that a sex offender, like a convicted sex offender, should never have been moved. We know of the Bureau of Prisons policy. So is this a little passing of the buck, potentially? Okay.
Protecting this country, providing historic reform.
Here comes the anger. Historic reform.
And combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you.
Wow.
And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution.
Wow, interesting. That's his response. That's his response. You're right. The question, why do we put up with this shit? We shouldn't. He's absolutely a joke. The entire cabinet. Just think about the people that we know. Just think about what we know. Just think about the things that we know. We know Mike Walls sucked in a journalist from The Atlantic into a top secret, highly classified signal chat. We know that Pete Hegseth bragged about it, shared similar information with his wife and or his dog groomer. Actually asked technicians at the War Department to basically circumvent policies so he could have information installed on his desktop computer. Numerous other examples about leaked information, firing people that were directed to, provide security and safety and protect information to try to blame it on somebody else. That's Pete Hegseth and Mike Walls trying to blame everything on everyone else. Oh, just got sucked in. Thank you, Swishy Raiders. I appreciate you guys. Hearts in the chat for Swishy Raiders. Okay. Right, but we can't have TikTok because of national security concerns. So that's that. Then you've got RFK with his numerous lies that he's told the American public, dismantling public health. Due respect, public health is not something you fuck with. You got Dr. Oz in his bullshit charlatan, I'm a snake oil salesman, who made his money on thanks Oprah, who made his money on the back of, misinformed American people. You got Pam Bondi, who has lied at every step of every step along the way in this entire Epstein investigation, her own lies, telling lies to protect her lies, telling lies to protect her lies. Cash Patel, Howard Nutlick going out and telling the American people that tariffs are really, really great, but we're not going to start to feel the effects for another 2 years as they're driving us into a recession. And I've got a story that's going to just blow your mind a little bit later that talks about the level of corruption involving the Trump family, crypto, the Qataris. It's going to blow your mind. Because, again, these are the kinds of things that they don't talk about, right? And then the right now continue to try to, to lie to you directly to your face, trying to claim that the bulk of political violence comes from the left. Just doesn't. So I've got more from Cash Patel because there is so much to tell from Mr. Patel. I'm going to call him Crash Mattel from now on. Okay, this is Dick Durbin, who did a sensational job laying this out yesterday.
During my 4 years as chair, I held 4 hearings with then FBI Director Wray. As a reminder to Republicans who claim the Biden administration weaponized the FBI, President Biden retained Director Wray, a lifelong Republican who was President Trump's nominee for the office. After his second election in an unprecedented move, President Trump forced out Director Wray and nominated Cash Patel, arguably the most partisan FBI director ever. Director Patel came to the FBI with a political mission, and he spelled it out in writing in detail. He wrote government gangsters, quote, "The rot at the core of the FBI is not just scandalous, it's an existential threat to our Republican form of government," end quote. And with the power of his office and the blessings of the president, he attacked the FBI with a vengeance. Director Patel himself had no training or life experience for this position.
None.
The result of that incompetence is staggering.
Correct.
For example, after Attorney General Bondi publicly stated in February that the Epstein client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now to review. That's what she said on Fox.
Correct.
Director Patel diverted more than 1,000 FBI personnel from their critical missions to work on 24-hour shifts reviewing over 100,000 pages of Epstein-related records.
Correct.
These personnel were instructed to flag any records in which President Trump was named. But that review ended in an unsigned memorandum from DOJ and FBI stating simply, there is no incriminating client list, close quote. Director Patel still has not responded to my letter from 2 months ago asking about his role in this cover-up. On the day of the horrific shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University, Director Patel again sparked mass confusion by incorrectly claiming on social media that the shooter was in custody, which he then had to walk back with another social media post. Mr. Patel was so anxious to take credit for finding Mr. Kirk's assassin that he violated one of the basics of effective law enforcement. At critical stages of an investigation, shut up and let the professionals do their job.
Exactly.
Notably, Director Patel recently forced out Special Agent in charge of Salt Lake City, Mayim Saeed, a counterterrorism expert with 20 years experience, who would have led this high-profile investigation. The men and women who serve at the FBI and the American people deserve a director who has the ability and the character to restore the Bureau to its place as the preeminent law enforcement agency. I want to close on a personal note. I came of age in the 1960s. We experienced a number of horrific assassinations, including President John Kennedy, Senator Robert Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King. We are going through a similar period of division and political violence. All of us in public life, on both sides of the aisle, have a responsibility to bring down the temperature and to work to unite the American people. Let's be clear. Republicans are not Nazis, and Democrats are not evil, as Mr. Patel has claimed. Democrats are not responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk, and Republicans were not responsible for the murder of Melissa Hordman. Our political opponents are not our enemies. We are all Americans, and we should be working together to keep the American people safe.
I don't agree with all that.
And protect their constitutional rights. During my 4 years as...
So, telling it like it is, right? Telling it like it is. Those are all, I don't agree with everything he said there. And I understand he's trying to make this a bipartisan approach. I get it, but I don't agree with everything he said there. That's fine. We're objective here, right? But what he said is true about Kash Patel's incompetence. And remember, he came out and said, this is what happens when you let good cops be good cops. In the transcript from the charging document, from the press conference that was held yesterday by the DA, Mr. Gray, the evidence is very clear that the FBI was not involved in this. They're not involved at all in the arrest. Not at all. It was conversations with family members, recognition from pictures that were shared. Family members said, that looks a lot like this kid. There was another family member brought in. Conversations were had. He eventually decided to turn himself in. And yet, because Kash Patel, they've conditioned their base to think that the FBI is a bunch of tough guys. It's like the OK Corral and Wyatt Earp, and that's what they want their mouth-breathing idiots to believe. That's what he hung his hat on. Because no one will look past the actual truth, as we always talk about, because they live on a mountain of lies. And that's all they care about, is the narrative. It gets worse, though. There's more to this entire thing. So I talk about Kash Patel specifically because he's the worst as far as I'm concerned. But think about what we heard for years. Weaponization of government, the deep state, lawfare. That was intentional. So let's be very clear. That's intentional, just like everything else. Just like everything else when they say fake news or the radical this, the radical that. That's intentional because they've conditioned their followers in the cult. They've conditioned their followers to believe that. So that when they are committing lawfare, when they are the deep state, when they are weaponizing the government, nothing to see here, because it was the left that did it. It's this cycle that we're in. Pavlov's dog, exactly. It's this cycle that we're in. And the only way to get out of it is to call it out. This is my issue that I have with legacy media. They don't call it out. The issue that I have with just boring, apathetic, lazy journalism. Just can't stand it. Because they're unwilling. Just like Thomas Massey said yesterday, I played that sound, right? Thomas Massey, one of the people that's involved in the dude lives in another world. Okay. Thomas Massey said that, yeah, most of my colleagues don't want to be in a position where they're protecting P3DOs, PDF files, right? But they're so afraid of the Trump political machine that what choice do they have? So here we are, journalistic organizations who've been sued are afraid to call it out because they don't want to lose access. You lose access, what else do you lose? Follow the fucking money, right? It's an absolute embarrassment. But they don't care. They just don't care. Because again, he's lied. He took an oath and he lied. He flat out lied to Congress, to the Senate yesterday. On numerous occasions, they all have. Who's going to hold him accountable? His DOJ? You'll file contempt charges, or you'll file perjury charges that he perjured himself. Who's going to hold him accountable? It's not going to be this DOJ. So I was thinking last night, like, if I had to prioritize who I would want impeached, who I would want impeached, I go back and forth. To be honest, obviously the president, sure, but the rest. All right, hold on a second. I've got a special guest. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Stephen.
I know you are up early, and I really appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much.
It is. The sun's not even out yet. It's dark.
I know. You don't go. You're like me. You don't go to. You probably just don't go to sleep. I used to always joke, like 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock is either too late or too early for anything you want to do. Too late to go to bed. Too early to get up. Too late to eat lunch. Too early to eat dinner. So anyway, absolutely. So I asked Jay to kind of join today because I heard some of your show yesterday, and it was great, man. It was great. And just I think your perspective on the situation in Utah is unique. And I was thinking about it, like, there's probably very few people in our country that will have, first of all, the perspective on the community there and a platform like you have to talk about it. So, and I don't know if you thought about it at that depth, but you may be in a small circle, Jay. Let's be honest. So I guess the first question I have for you, and if you all don't follow RTP, please do. We've been TikTok friends for a long time, and I really appreciate your work, and you know how much I admire you.
Appreciate that.
When you first heard of that day, when you first got wind of what had happened, what was the first thought that you went through your head?
That's good. So we were live when it happened. It interrupted the show. So the chat just started filling up with Charlie Kirk was shot. I didn't know that he was at Utah Valley University, which is a school I attended back when it was a state college, and it's one town over from me. And so it was actually really surreal because I knew the place. I knew where he was. When I saw where he was, I was like, I know exactly where that is. And we started going around the building. But if we're good, like, honestly, I wasn't that shocked. I don't think people know the history of Utah and the history of Mormons and the amount of radicalization that takes place there. And so I'm actually a little more shocked as the evidence is coming out that this guy wasn't actually that radical, right? Like there doesn't seem to be a lot of evidence that he was radicalized by anything, which I think goes to show that the culture there in Utah is that, like, radicalization oftentimes is heralded, it's lauded, it's a good thing. Like the Utah County is one of the most Mormon places on earth, and so the more strictly you adhere to a doctrine, the Mormon doctrine, the better the person you are. So, like, radicalization is almost in some ways celebrated.
So for people who don't know your background, first of all, I don't know if anybody who doesn't know you yet, but there could be people here who may not. Would you just a little bit just tell people your background, if you don't mind?
Sure. Yeah, so I was, like I said, I was born and raised one town over in a smaller town called Linden. It's a very Mormon community. I went to Pleasant Grove High School, which is 2 towns over. 95% Mormon in my high school, like legitimately. I think I knew 3 people in my high school that weren't Mormon. One of them converted afterwards. And it permeates everything. Like in high school, we had you could leave campus for 1 period per day. It was 4 periods, and you could go to like a religious class that was built on campus. They say you can leave campus, but it's literally built on campus. And every high school has one of those. It's called a seminary. And you go in there and you have religious classes. And so the culture in Utah it's bizarre. It's almost like there's this higher law and everybody's always watching you. You're always being judged because everybody has to live by the same rules and everybody knows what the rules are. And some of those rules, like outwardly, people are going to know when you're breaking the rules. Like you can't drink coffee. You can't drink alcohol. You can't smoke cigarettes. No sex before marriage. Nothing more than kissing before marriage. And some people don't even kiss before marriage. So then I grew up there. Then I went on a Mormon mission for 2 years. I went to Spokane, Washington, came back, moved to Arizona to play soccer, and then I've kind of just been back and forth between Utah ever since then, and now it's not really a place that feels very comfortable for me because of my political beliefs. Which in the early 90s there was a guy that used to work for the CIA and the FBI named Ezra Benson. He became the leader of the Mormon Church, and he was very, very far right. And the Mormon Church historically had been democratic, which made sense, and they were relatively liberal because, like, Mormons have beliefs that they wanted protected. And then when Ezra Benson came in the 90s, the church took this hard shift to the right, and then they've never looked back.
So, and then your unique connection to UVU, I think I heard you say that you served politically. You had a political affiliation, not just to the Utah Republican Party. I know you worked on Mitt Romney's campaign, but you also had a political presence on campus. Is that correct? Did I hear that correctly?
No, sort of. Not on campus. That's just where the Utah County Republican convention was. And then when I got nominated to be the precinct chair, that happened at Utah Valley. So it was in those buildings, but it wasn't at the school.
Okay, so safe to say, hold on a second. Bye. I love you.
I love you too.
Sorry.
Oh, that wasn't
fun. Well, I did love you.
I thought we were done.
Okay, so safe to say you know this community, obviously, backwards and forwards, in a way that many people may not. Okay, thank you for level setting there. So I was listening along. I was listening along to you, kind of breaking down the. By the way, I think you asked this question whether or not the prosecutor or the DA in this case is Mormon. I could not find specifically if he is. I do know that he attended Brigham Young, has never left the state, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So could we draw some conclusions potentially that he may be a Mormon?
I don't know how. Yeah, I'm still not convinced that Vermont is real, but if it is real, I know there's certain places where you just know, like you can just tell, and the way that he speaks, it's obvious that he's Mormon. There's just a way that Mormons speak, and this guy has like held leadership. You can even go look at the press conferences. They'll say things like, the guy that opened the press conference was like, after the director's remarks, we'll hear from, and I don't remember who the people were. That's what it's like to go to a sacrament meeting, which is Mormon, like church. You have sacrament meeting, and they'll say like, after we have the sacrament, we'll hear from Bishop so-and-so, and then we'll hear from the first counselor. It felt like I was in church. So just the way that he talks, the way that he presents, you can even the fact that he's wearing a white shirt and you can see through the white shirt, and then there's like a little scoop neck t-shirt underneath that represents that he's probably wearing garments. He's almost he's certainly Mormon. Yeah.
Okay. So then I think where I want to go next with this conversation about some of the things that he said yesterday, that would potentially be a significant conflict of interest from his own ideological beliefs. Is that kind of where you thought, based on specifically as it relates to as they referred to it, leftist ideology. We'll unpack that in a second, but just his faith, your former faith, in how they approach the queer community specifically, right?
Yeah, that leftist ideology would be against their teachings. That would be against God. It's against their church.
Right.
He has a huge conflict of interest.
Right. Okay, so then that's the part that kind of stood out to me, right? And the way you broke it down again was really great, because I think it's been easy for us to say that it's political violence. And you can make an argument that all violence is political in a way. I'm sure you could find some sort of nuance connected to that. But in this case, from the memes, because it's discussed about that meme culture, memes, maybe it was a shit post based on what he wanted to potentially distract people from the language and the references that were on the shell casings. But it seems like, because his family, and I'm curious your opinion on this, his family, highly conservative. He grew up, as you just described it, he grew up in a highly conservative area. I don't know how active he was in his church. I don't know. Seems like his family references that the DA made yesterday were MAGA. And then the statement that one of his family members made, I think it was his mom, said, over the years, he's leaned left. And I thought, okay, that's an interesting statement for them to make, but maybe his leaning was just that maybe he was struggling with his own sexuality and was so tired of being diminished by his culture, his faith, his own family, that he just had enough. And he saw Charlie Kirk as someone who just perpetuated this hatred. Is that kind of how you heard it too?
Yeah. First of all, I think it's a startling revelation from every Republican in existence that all of the evidence that this kid was on the left is that he was, I'm trying to get the words right, I think it was pro-gay and trans-oriented.
Correct.
And that's all of the evidence. So if that puts somebody squarely on the left, that seems like the right admitting that if you are gay or trans-oriented, that there is no place for you. But certainly in the Mormon church, regardless of what they say, they've tried to become more friendly. It wasn't that long ago, within 10 years, that the Mormon church said that if you have gay parents, you can't be baptized. And baptism in the Mormon church happens when you're 8 years old, and it culturally, it's a significant moment. So you're going to school, and everybody around you, they get baptized when they're 8. They send you an invitation. It's a whole event. It's centered around you. And the Mormon church a few years ago changed the rules so that if you had gay parents, you could not be baptized until you're 18. They wound up undoing that a year later because of pressure. But the Mormon church is as accepting as I guess they could be, while still holding the belief that it is morally wrong and against their teachings to be gay. So that leaves you incredibly conflicted, and it puts you in a position that is very, very uncomfortable. Most of my family's still Mormon, and I've tried explaining this to them, but it's the first time in my life I was ever othered when I wasn't Mormon anymore. That's how strong the culture is. Everybody's Mormon, and just because your views changed. Yeah, I have not talked to my dad, not necessarily by my choice, in probably a year now.
Interesting.
He kind of let it out. He just said one day, he said, "I wish I never would have let you play soccer, because soccer led you out of the state of Utah, and then you became a liberal." And I was like, first of all, soccer was my love, and I guess that's kind of true. Like, when you get out of the bubble, you become a liberal. When you get surrounded by other people, you become a liberal. And so this kid's conflicted in many ways, and I'm sure he felt othered from his Mormon community, and you can see that. Did you read the Ken Klippenstein article yet?
I did. Yeah, I haven't finished it, but I saw those references. Yeah, that's where the shit post, because I saw a poster talk about it, and that's what I was reading. That's the rabbit hole I went down. Right? Yeah. Maybe this is just yeah. Go ahead.
To me, it just seems like this kid found a community outside of the Mormon church and he wasn't locked onto the internet. He was in Discord, and he was out camping, and he was doing things.
Yeah.
It's very clear that he got away from that community and had his own safe community where he could kind of be who he was. And his friends seem like they're pretty cool. A lot of them seem religious, and they were just cool with him. So, but yeah, I do think, I think that we haven't seen why this person was radicalized yet, but I can see the internal turmoil that he would have. I could understand that.
Agreed, and of course the continued references. What I find damaging, and I know your opinion on legacy media. We share it. How damaging it is.
So
how
good.
Disgusted I am. I'm so disgusted by legacy media. Of course, you put the headline about trans and left-leaning ideology as the headline, and then you have to retract it into back page story and a little 1-inch column section under editor's note. So they've had to back off on that, because as far as I'm concerned, I've not yet seen anything that identified, not that it fucking matters, identified his partner and or romantic partner as trans, other than maybe femboy. That's all I took from it.
Yeah.
So maybe a crime of passion, just like I care about this person. I love this person, and I'm so tired. I've been told that I can't. I've been told that I can't have feelings unless I'm not accepted, unless I'm cis, white, hetero, straight, Christian. I can't be accepted in my own community. I don't feel that way, and I'm so tired of people being minimized and marginalized and diminished. So it's not even a left-leaning political ideology. It's just becoming liberal and realizing that I just want to be, I want to be free to love who I want. I want to be free to think what I want. I don't want to be told anymore. I don't want to be indoctrinated by the cult anymore. Does that track with what you thought too when you heard that press conference yesterday?
Yeah. I think maybe I was there a little bit before the press conference, and in reading these things, I tried really, really hard to call balls and strikes on this one, and I think
Same.
that there's some like fringe right wingers that keep in contact with me, and I keep those lines of communication open because I think it gives me an insight into their groups, and with this job, it's helpful.
Important.
Yeah, but like. The mere fact that nobody could figure out where this kid's ideology was tells me that he's largely apolitical, and it's hard because we wind up arguing over simple things. And I think one of the telling things in our society that he has exposed is that sometimes we're just ready to argue, and we don't look at what's right in front of us. And I think this is my criticism maybe from the left on this. People have come out over and over and said this is a radical leftist because he was pro-gay and pro-trans.
Correct.
We should just be throwing that back in their face and say, what does that mean? Are you saying that if you are those things, there's no place for you? Because it seems like if I was him right now, or if I was anybody who held his beliefs right now, where maybe I was conservative, but I was pro-gay and I was aligned with the trans community, I might be feeling right now that there is no place for me because everybody on the right has said, these are the two pieces of evidence that we know about him, and that makes you on the left.
Yeah, well, according to our attorney general, you're not allowed to think that in our country. You're not allowed to think, not to be open-minded about it.
She's so fucking stupid. She is so alarmingly stupid.
She really is.
God.
So what's your thought on the engravings? Because the more and more I read it, and I went back and looked at them, and then I went down a Groyper rabbit hole, and that was crazy. And there's a lot of black pilling and crazy shit down in those holes and all kinds of shit. I seem to where I've landed now is obviously they're memes, and they talked about that, which defeats the entire narrative from the right because they wanted to use that as ammunition to try to justify this, saying it's left-leaning political violence. But it seems like it just might be a shitpost, like intentionally designed to distract, to confuse people, to say, these are just things, I just want to get my memes out on Fox News. Did you get that sense as well?
Yeah, if we're like, I don't know. I 70% believe that those text messages are real. We can cut this out if this right. We can cut these segments out if it goes bad. I find myself listening to Candace Owens way too much the last couple of days, and I'm like, fuck,
dude.
Yeah,
me too.
So let's assume that they're real. But if those are the real texts, like his partner was baffled by it, didn't want it to be true. He brought up the casings, and he specifically said he was shit posting. So like I think that probably clears the Groypers too. And I think this is just a person that was on the internet that was gay. That's what we know about this person. They seem to be apolitical.
Agreed. Yeah, I think so too. That's the conclusion that I've landed. It took me a while to get there, but that's the conclusion that I've come up with. Again, crime of passion, potentially, just being disgusted. Obviously, it seems like there were also references to him taking his own life. So, this was going to be a statement that was to be made for whatever reason, and then people could then fill in the blanks as to what they're doing now. Ambiguity creates chaos and turmoil. So, because there were references in there, it seems like his family talked him out of it. I don't know definitively. We obviously we won't know because it doesn't seem like he's talking. But I agree with you. It just seems like he was addressing his own sexuality, felt like he did not have a safe space in his own family, found a safe community, found someone that loved him, that he loved. And then the radicalization came from that, even if you call it radical, maybe. I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah. And the fact that the target is Charlie Kirk, it goes to tell you what that community thinks about the rhetoric. And alarmingly, unfortunately, the response in making Charlie Kirk a martyr, which I understand that there's people who love Charlie Kirk and agree with him, and I don't have any space for that. But by making Charlie Kirk a martyr, they're saying that what this kid stood for, or who he was, is wrong. It's validating to a lot of conservatives right now that Charlie Kirk was right, and the fact that now he was killed for these abhorrent beliefs is further proof that those beliefs are warranted, that they're right. And I think for me, like after the shock of this is my hometown and it struck close to home, the most shocking part seems to be how ready people are to go to war with each other. That's been alarming.
I agree. And then the flipping of the narrative, the claim, I'm not sure if you know this, there's reporting that the DOJ has removed reports that speak to the incidences of political violence and how it's 70% coming from the right. And all of a sudden that report has just, we've got the Wayback Machine. I can send it to you.
I have the Wayback. That's the only way you can find it. Yeah, is with the Wayback Machine.
Exactly. And so that's part of the rhetoric. And it doesn't matter. I know you've had conversations with many people. It doesn't matter when we call it out. It doesn't matter that we say, listen, I condemn all political violence. Oftentimes it seems like it becomes a means to an end that none of us really, really want. But for the right, who are the most violent in our culture, at least, compared to even more so if you combine left-leaning political violence and even extreme, Islamic violence, Islamic extremist, conservative right-wing violence surpasses both of those combined. Yeah. The right can't accept that looking into the mirror. That's why I thought that statement, I wanted to get your opinion on when Spencer Cox, that famous statement that he said, I prayed for 33 hours that it was someone from outside of our state, outside of our country. And my brain went like, okay, so that you could easily blame it on somebody else? Like, why would you make a public statement like that?
Yeah, I wouldn't, but I will say that I had similar thoughts. I hoped to God that this wasn't somebody that was going to be aligned with the left, because you could see the minute it happened, the conspiracy theories are out there. The minute it happened, people were ready to go to war before we knew anything. So I did understand that. But it seems like that hope is what they're all still hanging on to. Like they're not, I do not think that Spencer Cox and the Republican leadership are addressing reality right now. For them to still say that this person is on the left is, first of all, I'm not a lawyer, but like, if I'm this kid's lawyer, when I go into court day one, I'm playing that press conference and I'm going to say, you just tainted the whole jury pool. You've painted this person as a lefty in a state full of right wingers. Unconfirmed that they were a lefty. It's if you're going to get conspiratorial. It seems like that now we have set up a position, and whether we're conspiratorial or not, let's just say that press conference fucks things up, and that this kid gets a lighter sentence or no sentence at all. That won't change the mind of a single Republican. We've now set up the stage where no matter the outcome, if he's guilty of everything, then he was a leftist. If he gets off from anything, or if transcripts aren't let in, if these text messages that they shared now are not admissible, then the right's just going to be like, oh, well, they covered it up. But he was a lefty, but they weren't allowed to put it in court. We've seen him do it with Trump every time. There is no amount of evidence that will mean a goddamn thing to a significant majority of this country.
Agreed. And Crash Patel's own words about, the claims that he made. Yeah, the claims that he's made numerous times and continuing to open his mouth, and they talk about they wanted to bring back credibility to the FBI. Well, it's been highly, significantly less than credible since day one of this regime. What do you think? Like, if you were a betting man, I know you're not. TikTok zone. What do you think? What's next? Like, what do you think's going to happen next in this case? Like, what do you see happening? The DOJ's response, Republican elected officials' response. Do you think it's just gonna the rhetoric is just gonna get worse and worse and worse?
Yeah. Unfortunately, let me pull this up real quick. Unfortunately, I think this is. I don't want to say that this was planned or that this was staged or that this kid was a patsy. I don't think that's the case. But what we do know about the Republicans is that they have a plan, and that they have a plan for authoritarianism, and all they really need, they never let anything go to waste. Like, all they need is one opportunity to seize control. And I think that you're going to see a massive push by the Republicans to take authoritarian control, to use this as a way. It was frightening yesterday, the stuff Trump was saying when he snapped at that reporter, the reporter that asked him,
crazy,
like about hate speech, and Trump's like, maybe I'll come after you. He said that directly to a reporter's face for asking a question. I don't think there's any doubt that's what they're going to do. And frankly, the state of democracy, like right now, lies in the hands of Republicans. We need 10 Republicans in the Senate to wake the fuck up. I think Tom Tillis seems very angry yesterday at what Republicans are doing. But it's a bizarre time to live in this country right now, where we are reliant on a handful of Republicans doing the right thing, and they have run out most of the Republicans who are willing to do the right thing.
I think about the discharge petition with one signature short. Ultimately, those special elections, they're going to get 219 signatures if the math holds. So there'll be a vote on it. You wonder if people will hold once the vote comes to the floor. Like, will MTG continue to hold? Will Nancy Mace continue to hold? Things like that. Thomas Massie made an interesting statement yesterday, I think that we all know, saying that he knows a lot of his Republican colleagues don't want to be on the side of defending a PDF file, but they are so terrified of the Trump political machine that they're just not going to do anything. From my perspective, that discharge petition is probably the easiest vote any Republican would ever have to make. 435 signatures should be on that thing, but they are so terrified. Again, the administration, the Oval Office, saying it's a hostile act if you sign this document for all this information to go public. That tells us a lot, right? That tells us a lot.
Yeah. What sucks is that the fear that they have is justified because there will be retribution, but the retribution is political. So stop being a bitch and do the right thing. That's what's crazy. Like, that's what's crazy about the Republicans. Oh no, if I do this, I might lose my seat. Okay, do the fucking right thing anyways. That's what we're supposed to do. Our entire country, that's what they always say they pride us on, like doing the right thing. Do the fucking right thing. He's gonna say a lot of bad things about you after, and his followers are gonna come after you, and that sucks. Welcome to being on the left. Welcome to being somebody who tells the truth about Donald Trump. This is normal for us. Guess what? You can deal with it. Toughen the fuck up, Republicans. Why is everybody afraid of this fossil that can't complete a sentence?
Have you heard this sound? Hold on.
Smart people don't like me.
Yeah. God, that was honest. That was so honest.
I was going to say, it's the first thing he said that's honest. It's so true. So I guess the last question, and again, I know it's early for you, and I really appreciate you doing this for us, brother. Everybody thank RTP for doing this. It's great. Do you think there's going to be any consequences at the FBI? Like, do you think Cash or others under the current administration, without Democrats taking control of the House and attempting to impeach, do you think there's going to be any accountability for any of them?
Now we're getting conspiratorial. Now we're in conspiracy world, and I love it. I'm here for it. As of last night, there is a lot of pressure for Kash Patel to resign. I think that those Senate hearings were not good. It seems like Pam Bondi doesn't like Kash Patel. Trump has painted himself into this weird corner where he is compromised, but he compromised everybody with him. And I think the thing about Kash Patel is that he provides Donald Trump cover, and I'm not sure somebody else would provide that level of cover for him. And Trump knows that too. If Kash Patel can find somebody that can run the FBI, because they're going to need somebody to run it while a new director is confirmed. So it's got to be somebody in house. It's not going to be Dan
Well, he's
Bungie.
not running it. He's not running it now.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you know,
that's true. But he is running cover for Trump. And so Trump needs somebody in that position. I don't think there's that many people out there. Trump has this same problem with his foreign relationships. Right now, he's stuck between, like, he's like, hey, Qatar, thanks for all the money. Keep giving it to me. And they're like, hey, could you tell your friend Israel to stop bombing the fuck out of us? And he's like, I can't, because they also have blackmail on me. So I don't know what to do here. And he's surrounded himself with so many corrupt people, and they're all in this together, that if we can get one person fired, we may see the house of cards come crashing down. And I think Trump knows that. So I think he's going to do everything in his power to try and get Bondi and Kash to make up. And we should do everything in our power to keep dividing those two, because somebody's got to fall. And they're all cowards, and they're all bitches. And every one of them, as soon as they go down, they're gonna unload on Trump. Like, if they have dirt and Trump spills dirt on them, they're gonna unload. We need people to start talking. And but I don't think so. I think Kash is going to survive this, because the next step for Trump is to declare emergency powers and mobilize the National Guard so that he can declare martial law and cancel elections. That's literally, like, if you read Project 2025, if you follow fascism, these are the next steps. And he's going to need an absolute loyalist in the FBI to do that.
It's so true. And somebody in the chat this morning, when I was playing some of the sound from, the blatant lies, and I kind of fact checked them along the way, like, yeah, you said you didn't have a hit list, but yeah, you did. You said you couldn't release your own grand jury testimony, but yeah, you could. So, and then someone said, why couldn't we just criminally refer him to the DOJ? I'm like, who the fuck's going to prosecute him in the DOJ? He is the DOJ.
Pam Bondi might. I don't know. Maybe she's mad.
She might. Any final thoughts, bro? Again, thank you for doing this. Any final thoughts?
No, I would just, I would just say to the folks on this side of the aisle, and for anybody on the other side of the aisle who thinks these things are strange. In history, we've watched fascist dictators, and fascist dictators are almost always brought down by, like, a collection of people who feel like a broad spectrum of political ideology. And the only thing I would say is that we do need to be open right now to putting aside some differences when somebody is on our side that can put pressure, because political differences are worth fighting for. I think that there's a lot of things that those of us that engage on the left, I think we fight for really important things, but none of those things matter if we don't have a voice anymore. And so all I would say is, like, if you can get, if you can get friends and family members to start thinking about this critically by sharing a Candace Owens video, do it. Like, if you can get them to thinking critically by showing them a Steve Bannon video, do it. If you find stuff on the right and you think it helps, it can help start a conversation, they're far more likely to listen to somebody on the right than somebody on the left. Don't send them clips of me calling people bitches. Send them a clip of Candace Owens, and that might start the conversation. But we've got to have some tough conversations.
Don't send them clips of me telling the Justice Department to fuck themselves every single day. Probably not a good call. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good point. I mean, obviously tell your friends proudly to watch Steve Bannon and Candace Owens, then go take a shower. But I think you're right, because voices, we've always talked about this, and I did a live on it a couple weeks ago about cracks and maggot. We're seeing it now, whether it be from groypers or whether it just be from, infighting, it seems like there are cracks. The question is, who's courageous enough on the Republican side, the conservative side, to break to step in. And that's what we're waiting to see, because I'm with you. I mean, it's gonna have to take 10 courageous, think about this, 10 courageous Republicans just to stand up against fascism. I don't know if that requires courage, to be honest. Yeah.
It's like gentle parenting, though. You've got to tell them how courageous they are. Like, you can do it, buddy.
Stroke them.
You can be brave. And then when they do, they're like, I think there might be something amiss here. Oh my God, you're so amazing. We got to clap for them, cheer for them, give them treats, maybe. Yeah, we got to gentle parent some Republicans into doing the right thing.
Extra cookie. Yeah, it's true. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you so much. You going live today?
Yeah, I'll be live in a few hours. Steve, I just want to tell you how much I respect and admire you. There's not a lot of places I would show up for at 5:30 in the morning, but I love what you do. You do it authentically. Thanks, you work your ass off. You've built an incredible community, and it was an absolute pleasure to be here. I love you, Steve.
Thank you, my brother. I really appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot. And thank Jen for me, too, because I had to bug her just in case you didn't get my message. I appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you.
I'll talk to you later, man. Thanks a lot. Take care. That was great. Yeah, it's, so many great points. And I just really love Jay's brain on this. And like we said, just for those of you who've never, bumped into him before, he grew up in that culture. That's his world. As he described it, those were his people. So he totally gets it. And talk about a unique perspective to be able to kind of look inside, to be inside, the LDS community, and then to escape it. And he's talked about his deconstruction just honestly and very transparently, and then be able to look back into it and then to see what we're seeing now. So the takeaway from me and from going through the transcript of the charging documents, there was a reference to, let me see if I can find the exact quote, because this is the part that I think the right, to Jay's point, this is what the right's going to hold on to. Do I have it? Where is it? Hang on one second. Where did I put it? Do I not have it? There was one of the claims that was made in that a family member said that he began to lean left. So the conservatives, the MAGA Republicans are going to say that points to left-wing ideology. It absolutely does not. It does not. It points to someone who realized that he may be, based on some of his posts, again, I'm going to make this assumption, a generalization, but from reading between the lines, might have been aware of his sexuality, was afraid to tell anybody in his own community, including his own family, because of their far-right Christian beliefs, the immorality of homosexuality according to LDS teachings and doctrines. And he realized it, and he just got so tired of the hate coming from that side. So if that means shifting left is in support of humanity, if exactly, guilty of humanity. Thank you, Josie, took the words out of my mouth. Guilty of humanity, right? What an awful position to be in for that person. So if we're talking about radicalization, right? If we are talking about radicalization, is it radical to want to be recognized as the person that you are? Is it radical to say, I want kids to eat? We joke about it in this space all the time, right? I'm radical because I want healthcare, food, water, and shelter for people. So fucking radical. So, and again, Jay brings up a great point. The argument, we know what side of history that we are on. It's going to take courage from people in the Republican Party, today's Republican Party, conservatives. It's going to take courage for them to stand up to it. It's like, that's what it's going to take. They're going to attempt to spin this in other people again. They're going to continue to try to, I want to play some sound from Nancy Mace again, because she's just a despicable human being. And Don Lemon, thankfully, since he's out from under the pressure of bullshit legacy fucking media, he can now be free to talk about things that should be talked about, like calling it out to her face. She uses the T slur quite a bit, so I don't want to play it. But he confronts her with it and says, listen, the overwhelming majority of information, the overwhelming majority of data about political violence comes from the right. And Nancy Mace wouldn't accept it. Every single example along the way, this has been studied. And we were talking about the DOJ has deleted information about this report. And I'm going to read you some of the highlights of this report today. Lemonheads, exactly. It's not wrong, Dave. It's not wrong. You've been indoctrinated to think otherwise. Did you pay any attention to the conversation that we were just having? And again, I want to thank Jay for getting up early. It's just 70%. This has been studied. If it were wrong, whoever said that post, if it were wrong, why would the DOJ have gone to the efforts to delete it? because they don't want people like you seeing the information. We'll put it in our Discord because we found it in the Wayback Machine. Let me just get to it. It's just easier to. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. If we are crowdfunded here, don't forget, if you want to support the channel, best way to do that is through the various pay apps, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Thank you in advance. So the title of this story is What NIJ, National Institute of Justice, research tells us about domestic terrorism. Militant nationalist, this is the information that was deleted. This was a study done by CSIS, DHS, the FBI, the CDC, all these organizations, the Anti-Defamation League, the Southern Poverty Law Council, all of them. All of them report on the same information. All of them report on the same data. And it's not new. It's just this has been studied for decades. Militant, nationalistic, white supremacist, violent extremism has increased in the United States. In fact, the number of far-right attacks continues to outpace all other types of terrorism and domestic violent extremism. Since 1990, far-right extremists have committed far more ideologically motivated homicides than far-left or radical Islamist extremists. In fact, combined, including 227 events that took more than 520 lives in this same period. Far-left extremists committed 42 ideological motivated attacks that took 78 lives. 227 to 42, 520 lives to 78. It's not even close. It's 75% or more in most cases. We can name names. We can point to militant organizations and white supremacist groups like the Three Percenters and the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, et cetera, et cetera. Stand back and stand by. Somebody want to tell me the leader of Antifa? Who's the leader? Who's the leader? We'll post it in the Discord. Who's the leader? A recent threat assessment by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, again, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, in cooperation with all these other groups, including the FBI and the Department of Justice, right? Which is why they don't want you to see this information, MAGA. They don't want you to see this, right? A recent threat assessment by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security concluded that domestic violent extremists are an acute threat and highlighted a probability that C-19 pandemic-related stressors, okay, again, everybody freaking out about having to wear a mask because MAGA is so fucking soft, they're afraid of a paper mask. They use that, say, oh, the government was violating my rights, blah, blah, fucking blah. Okay, think about these things. These are the three primary categories. Okay, these are the three primary categories that they've identified to see a rise in right-wing political violence and extreme violence. These three categories. C-19 pandemic-related stressors, long-standing ideological grievances related to immigration, and narratives surrounding electoral fraud continue to be the primary drivers as justification for violent actions. Who does that sound like? Ideological? The trans people are taking over. Election fraud? Immigration? C-19? Who does that sound like? Yeah, that's what you hear from the Trump administration. That's what you hear Trump as a candidate. That's what you heard during the campaign. That's what you hear from all these right-wing outlets. Right-wing outlets. I'm obtuse? Okay. I know the truth hurts. We know you don't give a fuck. You don't care. It's like, yeah, I'm a snowflake, Tyler. Cool, appreciate that. Over the past 20 years, the body of research that examines terrorism and domestic violent extremism has grown exponentially. Studies have looked at the similarities and differences between radicalization to violent domestic ideologies and radicalization to foreign extremist ideologies. Research has found that radicalization processes and outcomes and perhaps potential prevention and intervention points vary by group structure and crime type. In addition, research has explored promising and effective approaches for how communities can respond to radicalization. There's one part that I wanted to find here. Hold on, I got it. I summarized it. Far-right extremists lead an ideological motivated H-side since 1990. Since 1990, far-right extremists, this is in the same report, from the same report. Since 1990, far-right extremists have committed more H-sides motivated by ideology than far-left or Islamist extremists in the United States combined. YT supremacist, nationalist extremist violence has increased exponentially. Research identifies several common facilitators of radicalization: grievances, personal or political, identity dynamics, exposure to extremist narratives, online and offline social network connections, and triggering events. The process is often gradual, with shifts in belief and behavior, sometimes moving from nonviolent to violent. Radicalization trajectories differ depending on ideology, context, and individual life history. Islamist extremist radicalization, for example, tends to reflect different timelines and network dynamics more than than the far right does, or domestic radical ideologies. So it's every single data point that we have. Every single data point points to what we know, and the right can't accept it because it destroys the entire narrative. I got this data from a report that the Department of Justice scrubbed, that they don't want you to read it. So we got it from the Wayback Machine. 227 incidences in the same report. 227 incidences from far-right extremists resulting in 520 deaths. Far-left extremists, 42 incidences resulting in 78 deaths. No, it'll be in our Discord. So I don't, again, it's not going to do me any good, or it's not going to do Jay any good, or anybody who wants to talk about this, because we know that the right's narrative will not allow this to go out into the public space because they can't address it. So they will attempt to other. They're going to use a statement made that from a family member of Tyler Robinson said that he shifted his ideology left. And they're going to say, there's an example, he's a leftist. No. Well, okay, let's play this out then. Because he realized that the hatred that he grew up in was not the way that he wanted to the way that he wanted to live his life. Right? So he made a decision to say, I love somebody, and I'm confronting my own sexuality. And he acted on it. Thank you, Thick. Appreciate you, buddy. Somebody check the Discord? Hold on. Anyway, we'll get to it. If Charlie was Muslim, would you consider this a hate crime? If Charlie was Muslim, would I consider this a hate crime? The charging documents have already put hate crime elevators in. I got to go back. Why did I not keep this? Where did I put it? Hold on a second. It's weird that I lost that. Thought I had it. I'll just take you guys through it. Oh, it's right here. No, that's not it either. Yeah. So these are the charges against Mr. Robinson. The charges are count one, aggravated murder pertains to Robinson shooting of CK. Count two, felony discharge of a firearm. Count three, obstructing justice. Count four, obstructing justice again. Count five, witness tampering. Count six, witness tampering again. Count seven, violence offense committed in the presence of a child. And they're adding some of these elevators connected to political speech and or violent rhetoric to justify making claims regarding the death penalty. The pro-life crowd, right, wants to use the death penalty. Was it a hate crime when Trump was shot by Republicans, Rory? I don't know. So the chat has kind of proven my point this morning a little bit, because I see a lot of people on the right that are in here. I see a lot of people that are trying to square this in their brain. They don't want to accept the fact that the overwhelming majority of the data, we know that they don't live in the world of reality. They just want to believe the rhetoric. They don't want to accept the fact that the overwhelming majority of political violence and extremism comes from the right. They can't accept it because the moment they do, it defeats their entire narrative. So this is a statement that I think is going to be problematic. And this is what they're going to hold on to. Let's see. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. So does that mean that you can't support, you're considered an ideological threat if you believe in people's rights to be whoever the fuck they want to be? You know, all I know is that the members of the trans community, the queer community in general, just want to be miserable like the rest of us. Right? Let's be real. Again, Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male. Why is that even in there? What the fuck does that even imply? Who was transitioning genders. There's no evidence of that at all. This is why this is damaging. Likely a femboy from all we know so far. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In the press conference, identified his dad as MAGA. Right. So Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance, let me finish this one section. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his dad, of very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which again, where Jay went to school, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Hatred, not political hatred, ideological hatred because of the things that he has said, Charlie Kirk has said about the queer community. So it tracks. Crime of passion? Maybe. There's no definitive motive here. There's no definitive motive other than he was radicalized. You want to call it that? Okay, sure. Radicalized, though, because of what reason? Radicalized because he may have been struggling with his own sexuality, feeling not safe that he could come out. Because that's the conclusion that I've come to. That he may be gay. And I feel horrible to be in a position surrounded by people that say your sexual orientation is just a primordial sin, and you should be admonished to the gates of hell. Imagine that. Imagine that. And the right is going to jump on that because we already know that they despise the trans community, the queer community, any marginalized group. They hate them all. So this just makes it easier. Yeah, a lot of Mormon men are. We know a lot of conservative Christians are, and they just want to hide it. They want to justify it. You know, the calls always come from inside the house. Log cabin Republicans. Yeah, that too. I see Brooke.
Oh, here I am. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How's it going?
Oh, I'm struggling today. I took a little trip and fell yesterday, and I hurt my hands, and I hit my chin. I'm a mess. So
I know we were kind of joking about that a little bit. I'm really sorry about that, friend. Really sorry about that.
My dogs tripped me, so they're good at that.
What you got for us?
Anyway, I am here just to remind everybody to say good morning and remind everyone to tap and share, and that we do have a live goal today, and that Facts works tirelessly behind the scenes to prepare for these shows every day, and bringing people like RTP on, and just organizing everything. And if you enjoy the show, if you've learned something, maybe you can contribute to the live goal through one of his pay apps. They're all Factsstillmatter, to help him reach his goal. We also have at factsstillmatter.site. You can join there. You can subscribe to the show. You can check out the merch store. They have some awesome t-shirts in there. I wear my Joy is an Act of Resistance shirt all the time. Yes, I do wear that probably every weekend, and it is the nicest shirt. And I'm just here to encourage everyone to support the show and just say hi to you this morning.
Thank you. I love you. You know that. I appreciate you very much. And don't do me a favor. Try not to trip over dogs, because as we get older-ish, the recovery time is a little bit longer. But thank you. Hearts in the chat for Brooke, one of our mods. In our community, Cabin Mom is our Secretary of State. Because if there's anybody that could calm tensions between feuding parties, it would be her. So thank you, friend. I love you.
Yeah, I'm the nice one.
You are the nice one. You are the nice one. You balance out our spicy. Are you ready for your slide ride?
I am. Whee!
Thank you. That was great. Thank you to Veronica. Veronica says, keep up the great work. I appreciate you, Veronica, very, very much. Thank you to Lisa. Lisa says, for all you do. I appreciate you, Lisa, very, very much. You're very kind. So we've got what we know, right? We always talk about this in turn. You are nice sometimes, ... We have what we know. It doesn't matter, because the entire conservative movement in America today is built on a mountain of lies. We know that the cult will not accept them. We also know that the leadership knows that they're lying to their base. Because it's easier, because
smart people don't like me.
Because smart people don't like them. Because smart people can see through it. They can just see right through it. See right through it. And it should not be that, what's the word? Well, it's blatantly, I guess it's blatantly obvious, right? It's blatantly obvious what we're watching. We can all, even if you are a lukewarm political observer, you can certainly see that the rise of violence comes from the right. It's always been that way. It's global. The whole the dog whistling that they use about going into certain areas. Why do you think that is? It's because they're racists. You hear people in support of Charlie Kirk saying he's not racist. Well, you don't think he's racist because you're racist. You don't think he's a bigot because you're a bigot. You don't think he's a transphobe because you're a transphobe. No one with any sense with just a modicum of intelligence could listen to his things that he said about black women, about black pilots, about the civil rights movement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and not accept the fact that he's racist. There's just no way. There's just no way. And I agree with Jay. I'm not ready to go yet. There's going to be no elections. I'm not ready to go there yet. I think there's going to be an attempt to do that. And just think about that, right? Think about what the radical extremists on the right are doing, because they know they can't win. They cannot win election. They can't win a fair fight. They're soft. They're weak. I'll use Jay's term. They're a bunch of bitches. They're soft and weak, and they're cowards. And they can't win unless they cheat. They can't. Their ideas are not popular. It's oppression. It's just, that's what it is. It's oppression and suppression. We're going to deny people the right to vote. We're going to deny them. We're going to create this fantasy that mail-in voting is suddenly just completely corrupt. Donald Trump saying, Vladimir Putin told me the problem you have in your country is mail-in voting. I don't even know if we talked about that enough, but that was so fucking wild. And then just like the next morning, he comes out with this True Social post saying, we're going to look into mail-in voting because Vlad told me so. It does speak volumes. Absolutely. It speaks volumes. It really does. But we'll see. Good morning. Let's see. Looks like you're not able to connect, Thomas. You can request again if you want. He is easily manipulated, among other things. Good morning, Tara. How are you today?
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, great. This is actually my first live I've ever joined. So Just to give a little background on myself, I'm a true neutral. I haven't voted in 12 years. I'm a single mom of 2 from Ohio. So just a little bit of background that my political beliefs
Why don't you vote? But why don't you vote?
They don't stem from anywhere, is what I'm trying to say. I believe that I vote for people who have my best interest at heart, and I haven't really seen America go in a direction that I am 100% on board with.
But you don't vote. But Sarah, but you don't vote.
I don't. No,
So
I've been an
that's
observer.
But then you're partly responsible for what we have.
It's very true. It's very true. And which brings me to the point of why I'm finally joining a panel.
Don't care. Sorry, you had your chance. Not interested. I have no time for that. No time for it. Hi, Jen.
That was amazing. Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I just wanted to go back to the statistics that you were talking about, because I too read the same statistics. They're actually available on the Anti-Defamation League as well, because the government
all over it. Yeah, the CDC, the Southern Poverty Law Council, the Anti-Defamation League, they all say the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I want to tell you about an event that happened a few days ago, and I don't know if you've talked about it yet, but I want to say that I've said these statistics so much recently that I've memorized them. And so I'm going to give this statistic, and then I'm going to give this awful, disgusting event. So in 2023, the Anti-Defamation League put out a decade-long research project about politically incited violence per political party. And they found that there were 445 unalivings from with political motive. 335 of them were by far-right extremists. That's 75%. And then of those, 73% of those were done by white supremacists.
Correct.
Okay. Now.
Correct. That tracks. And now we can even go a little bit deeper into that. I think the numbers are 90% that they're committed by white people specifically, right. And then 90% of that are white men.
So while you guys are mourning the loss of a man that preached hate, 2 black men were found hanging from trees in Mississippi the other day.
Correct.
Do you think that was a leftist that did that? Corey Zakartis and Trey Reed were found with broken legs and beaten, and were hanging from trees, one on a university campus.
Delta State, I think, right?
Yeah. Do you think that was the left that was doing that? If 73% of political violence is done by white supremacists, do you think it was a leftist that did that? At a certain point, you guys are going to have to admit that you have a problem. And if you can figure out what the problem is, then maybe we can make a change in this country. But continuing to propagate the lie that the left is the problem when we found 2 black men hanging from trees the other day is just blatant ignorance.
Yeah, I think one may be white, Jen. I don't have definitive information on that.
They were both black. I just looked it up to make sure. Okay. One was a homeless black man, and one was a black student.
Okay. Okay. Well, we know at the end of the day, just examples like, listen, I don't have any. You're not going to get space in my life if you chose to not vote for 12 years. You're just not going to get space here. You're just not going to get space because you're part of the problem. There is no justification for it. It is fucking selfish. Yep. Don't come up here with your entitled bullshit saying that you're neutral and you could be an observer. No, because oftentimes voting requires harm reduction. I am so fucking tired of people that I align with ideologically looking for perfection. I am so tired of it. I am so tired of it. Proving once again that we got what we deserve because of bullshit like that. 12 years.
Yeah, and
12 years.
And it's a real slap in the face to all of us that went around to our communities and was driving people to get them out to vote. And you just decided, I don't want to go vote.
I'm seeing a lot of contradictions about Corey. So we're gonna research this a little bit because I'm seeing a lot of people saying.
I can pull the picture.
It's okay. You don't have to. I'm just saying. There's just a lot. First of all, we just know the two people were left hanging. That's what we know for sure. So, and that's the horrible part about it.
I'll send it in the Discord right now.
Yeah, it's okay. Again, the point is that the overwhelming incidences and or unalivings from political violence in our country comes from the right, and they don't want to accept it. They just don't want to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. No, they just don't, and they won't.
But it tracks with the idea that they don't like facts.
Correct. Thank you for jumping in today. I appreciate you as always.
All right, take care.
Talk to you later. All right, bye. I have no grace. I'm so done. I don't have time for you to go through your exercise. I don't give a shit. Listen to my show. Don't come into the live and broadcast that you haven't voted for 12 years and consider yourself neutral. I don't give a fuck about your neutrality. I don't fucking care. I just don't. You're part of the problem. You sit in a circle with people and say, yeah, let's just be neutral and sit this one out. Fuck that. 12 years? 12 years? Shit. That's just ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Hey, Martina, how are you?
Hello. I'm, doing as well as one can these days. How are you?
Same.
I wanted to initially come up to let people know that the next couple National Days of Action are going to be the 20th of this month, which is Make Billionaires Pay. It's a march about, taxing the rich, getting money out of politics, and trying to save our planet from the extortion that it is experiencing every day.
Agreed.
And so if the most well-known name on that organizing body is the Women's March. So if you go to the Women's March website, you can find the Make Billionaires Pay March. And then No Kings Part 2 is going to be October 18th. And then the other quick thing, but I guess your team might be researching it separately. Corey Zukatis is a homeless white man. An image of a young black man who died from pew violence. That photo was mistakenly circulated as a photo of Corey. But you can look at, there's a few different, but the local news stations have updates on that. So if you guys want to research, the local Mississippi stations have those.
Yeah, I mean, well, and to be honest, like we can look at this as the hatred and or diminishing of houseless people lately by the extreme right. Who knows? Could have led to that as well, and it doesn't even matter. It's just people, innocent loss of life.
Yeah, I think
at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a homeless man, and I would not be surprised if someone targeted them for being homeless, especially after what the Fox News host was saying the other day and the way that this administration is speaking about the unhoused, which is devastating, and disgusting and ridiculous.
And then Brian Kilmeade decides to use an involuntary lethal injection for houseless people. That's cool. That's
exactly.
a good thing to say.
And he gets to keep his job, but we are firing those who say Charlie Kirk was a terrible person while you don't support what happened to him. His voice was one that was harmful, and so you don't mourn the loss of it. That's... I don't know if you've seen this, but people are losing their jobs for not mourning Charlie Kirk at this point.
Yeah, heard that. Yeah, I mean, I'm reminded by my amazing mod team every single day. I'm like, is your online presence safe and shit like that? I'm like, you know what? Fucking come and get me. Seriously. I'm not gonna be silenced by that bullshit. Not at all.
These people are insane. I don't know how else to put it. You scream about free speech and then want everyone fired because they don't mourn someone who's hateful. It's very bizarre.
That's exactly right. Thank you for jumping in today. I appreciate you.
Thanks. Bye.
Got it. Bye. It is a great point, right? the party that claims free speech, the party that claims, defenders of democracy, bunch of walking fucking hypocrites. And I think it's really important. Listen, I don't believe someone should lose their life for their political beliefs. I just don't. I'd be a hypocrite otherwise, because I'm up here every single day sharing mine, right? I don't think my views are hatred. I despise political opinions on the people that I don't agree with, and that's my right. But I'm not calling for. I don't think it would be. I was talking to my kids about this, right? We were having this conversation, really good conversation. My kids are all progressives, and my oldest is becoming a bit nihilistic, and I love to watch it because he's angry. He's got a non-binary partner, and he's just like, this is fucking bullshit. I'm like, yeah, it is. So we're having these conversations that we always do, and they're like, Dad, you kind of, you're a content streamer. Do you feel safe? I'm like, I do, because I have to exist in a world where I believe people's opinions, right, should not cost them their life. I just don't. I despise everything he stood for. Every single thing he stood for. Everything. And he himself said, hey, what was the quote he said? It's wild. Hold on. This is quote, Charlie Kirk. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. Well, that didn't work out so well for you, did it? And I just love to watch the comments just come scrolling by saying that the left are hypocrites. Like Jen and I were just discussing, right? Or Martina and I were just discussing, and Jen had confirmation of the data. The data tells you that you're wrong again because you have been lied to. You despise brown people, black people, queer folk, the poor, educated, children, women. You despise those groups so much that you're supporting political violence is coming from your side, and you need to scapegoat somebody. You need to other somebody, and you will look for whatever you can. That's why you all jumped on board. You can disagree all you want. We can come up and talk about it. You can come up and talk about it. We can have a conversation. You can disagree. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it objectively. I don't want your rhetoric. Let's talk about it objectively. Address the fact that the overwhelming majority of political violence comes from the right. Address it. Why is it so difficult for you to address that? Do you not want to hear it? Are you afraid of the truth? Is that what it is? Like, I just don't know. I'd like to know. I'd like to understand. Mr. Rogers, how are you today?
I am doing well. Just coming up that. So these people that are not feeling sorry for Mr. Kirk's undermined.
I can barely hear you. Sir. It's a really hard connection.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better.
Yeah, the people that are losing their jobs, man, because they don't agree, because they're not feeling empathy for this guy, man. These businesses should be what they're doing, man. That's
Mr. Rogers, I'm really
job.
sorry, brother. I'm really sorry, brother. It's just I think you're driving, and also it's just really hard to hear you. If you get stationary and you want to call back, we can have that conversation. Happy to have it with you. Again, like. We say this a lot, right? We say this a lot. The environment that MAGA has been primed into, the indoctrination in their cult, because that's what it is. There's no other way to explain it. That's not meant to be anything other than what it is. Your behavior is indicative of what cults do. You have a primary figure. You have a slogan. You have doctrines. You have symbolism. You have unity around othering people. That's a cult. You only believe what the cult leader tells you to believe. And here we are, right? Here we are. You're in it now, okay? You're in it. So accept that. At the same time, you have to accept the fact that the violence comes from your side. It does. It just does. I don't know. again, I would really be curious to see someone have a counter to that. I'd like to have that conversation for somebody to say, that's not how we see it. Okay, then tell me how you see it. Logum Pro, I sent you an invite. Are you going to represent? I don't think you will. That's kind of my point. SNB, jump in the box. Lies and violence. Tell me what I've done. I'd like to have that conversation. And this is the point, right? This is the point. And what I see oftentimes is when we try to have these conversations, because I really try to do, listen, I'm not going to have a conversation with anybody who hasn't voted for 12 years. Fucking no. I despise people who don't participate in democracy and then complain about it. So no. I will have conversations with anybody. What I see often though, what we see all the time is when presented with the facts in an attempt to have a conversation, what ends up happening is people on the right in the cult revert to ad hominem attacks or insults or slurs or whatever it might be, because you can't debate. You can't address the fact that contradict the data. Find me a data source other than, your opinion from someone that contradicts the CDC, the NIJ, the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, the FBI, the Anti-Defamation League, the Southern Poverty Law Council. They all say the same thing. The overwhelming majority of violence comes from the right. Full stop. Why is it so hard to accept that? I would just like to know. Good morning, Papa. Are you there? You can request again if you'd like to. All right, I want to play a little bit more, just because here we are again. Remember when we had these conversations prior to the election about how we knew it was coming. We knew Project 2025 was the playbook. We knew it was going to dismantle fundamental elements of our Constitution. We knew all that, right? We knew it all. Every single day, we're seeing more and more of it. So another incompetent member of the administration, Pam Bondi, and it's a fight between who's the most incompetent in the Department of Justice. It's really a fight these days. Well, this is what she had to say, and we have to have a conversation about hate speech, right? But it's protected because who's the arbiter? Somebody could say what I'm saying is hate speech. They could, sure. They can certainly say it's hate speech, but is it? Is it hate speech? This is what Pam Bondi had to say, and this is just wild. And then, of course, she had to walk it back because she got called out because they don't want MAGA to hear things like we told them they were going to do about how they want to just disregard the Constitution. Yeah, okay. So this is what she had to say.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free.
Who's the arbiter? Who's the arbiter for hate speech? So can I not sit here and say I think Pam Bondi's a fucking useless tool who should never be in that position? Is that hate speech? Do I think the 34-time convicted felon, twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing, fraudster convicted felon name on a list is a trash human being that sits behind the Resolute desk? Is that hate speech? Do I think that MAGA supporters who are grape apologists, who choose not to believe women are despicable human beings? Is that hate speech? Is it? Who's the arbiter? Who's the arbiter of that? Of course, then she had to walk it back because she got people like in her little cult circle, people like Tucker Carlson, people like Megyn Kelly talking about it. Listen to this.
Going to get hate speech laws, do you think? Pam Bondi seems to suggest we are. And 2, are we ever going to ban the mutilation of kids?
So on the hate speech comments, that was an absolutely ridiculous comment she made today. I mean, it was absolutely foolhardy. There's just no way she doesn't know what she said is legally unsound. There's just no way. She was Attorney General of the state of Florida and became U.S. Attorney General and doesn't know that. So it does worry me, because does that mean she's actually pushing for a policy change? Because there's just no way she doesn't already know what she said is wrong. There's been reams of Supreme Court precedent on it. And she knows that. So is this about policy change? She tried to wiggle off of her original point as the day went on, as incoming came almost universally from the right, that she had said something very, very wrong constitutionally and vile as a moral principle.
Are we going to get, she's the Attorney General of the United States? Bondi clarifies. Hate speech won't be prosecuted. Attorney General Pam Bondi tells Axios her office is not prosecuting or investigating anyone for alleged hate speech, only for speech that she says unlawfully incites violence. Where's the justification for that? Who's the arbiter for that? Why it matters. Bondi sought to clarify her comments during a Monday podcast in which she said the Justice Department would absolutely target you or go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech. Pam Bondi, I think you're fucking trash and you should resign your position immediately because you are an incompetent hack. Is that hate speech, Pam? Should I expect a knock on my door? I hope so. Her remarks drew criticism from across the political spectrum, including from some fellow MAGA Republicans who, as a group, have historically been sensitive to curbs on free speech. But Bondi told Axios in a written statement that she was talking about criminal groups. Oh, right. The same criminal groups that your borders are. Tom Homan said 70% of the people that ICE is arresting, I have criminal records, and the other 30% are gang members. And we know that that's not fucking true. So you're just going to pull shit out of your ass, Pam? Not kink shaming. Do whatever makes you happy. But Bondi told Axios in a written statement she was talking about criminal groups or people that incite violence, not those who said hateful things about the slaying last week of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, a friend of Bondi's. People are losing their jobs because of things that they've said about Charlie Kirk. I'm glad I own my own business, because I probably would have too. In fact, one of the reasons that I left corporate America is because I didn't like some of the policies. No, that's fine. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. My intention was to speak about threats of violence that individuals incite against others. Under President Trump, the Department of Justice will be unabashed in our efforts to root out credible violent threats. Credible violent threats. Who is the arbiter? The Trump Justice Department? Donald Trump? Who's the arbiter? Listen to that statement again. This is a quote. Under President Trump, the DOJ will be unabashed in our efforts to root out credible violent threats. Yeah, like J6, good call. Who's the arbiter for that? Who makes the determination? Who's the one that's going to say, yeah, this is a violent threat because you don't like it? So if I say, Cash Patel, fuck you, I think you're a piece of shit, disgrace, is that a violent threat? If I tell Pam Bondi that she is useless and she should never be in this position, is that a violent threat? If I tell Donald Trump that I think he's a trash human being, he's a grape apologist, he's a PDF file, he's a convicted felon, he's a disgusting, just absolutely just menace and a threat to change our country, is that a threat? Should I expect a knock on the door? See, MAGA, you guys don't get it. You guys don't get it. You sat in your own stench for years calling Donald Trump a defender of the Constitution. A defender. A defender of the Constitution. And we've got dozens of examples of him not giving a fuck about the Constitution. I'll play you some. You're not going to like this. You're not going to like it. I don't know what to tell you, but you're not going to like it. Here's one. Remember, your First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom from religion, freedom of the press, freedom to petition your government with grievances, and freedom to peacefully assemble. That's the First Amendment to the Constitution. Those are the rights that MAGA said Donald Trump was going to protect. Okay.
It's a violent radical left group. Okay, go ahead.
I got peppered with a lot of comments for doing that. They still have their First Amendment right, though. They're still out there protesting. You've got an amazing team behind you. You've done
that's a violent radical left group. Okay, go ahead.
I got peppered with a lot of comments for doing that. They still have their First Amendment right, though. They're still out there protesting. You've got an amazing.
I'm not so sure. They still have their First Amendment right to peacefully assemble. I'm not so sure. That's weird. Somebody who is defending the Constitution, why would they say something like that? That's wild. Why would Pam Bondi say, we're only going to go after people that we deem violently hateful? Yeah, he said, I'm not sure. Exactly, he said, I'm not so sure. Wow. That's amazing. So interesting. And when you have people like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly calling your shit out, it's not a good look. And as Jay said earlier, I'm agreeing with Candace Owens. I got to go take a shower. I don't know. I mean, listen, I can't help you. In case you don't know, I've lost a lot of tolerance. I'm a pretty tolerant individual. But who the fuck is the arbiter? Who's the arbiter for what hate speech is? Now, would I like to figure out a way to address hate speech? I would. I respect free speech. The question is, how do you do it? And I don't think you can. If you live in a country where you are constitutionally given right, not God-given, constitutionally given right to free speech, then you got to accept the good with the bad. Excuse me. You know what I mean? You got to take the good with the bad. There's going to be things that people say that you don't like. That's how it works. They can say those things so you can say those things. I can call the right fascists. I can call Donald Trump a Yahtzee. I can call him a criminal. They're true. I'm afforded those rights. We can, again, MAGA doesn't know what free speech means. Like, free speech is not TikTok. Your free speech tells you that the government cannot suppress your speech. The government cannot suppress the press. The government cannot mandate or dictate what you choose to believe or not to believe. The government cannot deny you the right to petition itself. The government cannot deny your right to peacefully assemble. That's what those rights are. We've got people in our country that still genuinely believe that the Second Amendment was created so that you could rise up against a tyrannical government. There are people in here, I guarantee you, people are going to say, that's why it was created. That's why we got it. I guarantee it. You watch. People in this room right now they sit there and they believe that shit. They believe it. That's why it was created. What you don't know is Article 3, Section 3 of the same Constitution. It's called the Treason Clause. That if you rise up against the Constitution, against the government, it's fucking treason. Now, if you want to polish up your truck nuts, load up the bed with all your fucking armaments and head to DC and attempt to take over, go for it. You better be successful, because otherwise you're going to be charged with treason. Yeah, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15 and 16 as well. Exactly. What about Biden? Yeah, good luck. Again, yes, you have the right to do it. Sure, knock yourself out. The problem with the script, because the NRA and the gun lobby and everybody else for years has attempted to convince you that that's the case, but you won't go past the end. First of all, you don't know what comma means. You don't know what commas mean. If you did, you would have to think a little bit. As part of a well-regulated militia, the right of the people keeping their arms should not be infringed. You forget about everything else in between. So, again, knock yourself out if you want to do it. Saw a couple comments scroll by, tell me I'm wrong, but you won't get in the box and talk about it. Because you hate brown and black people and queer people and the disabled and the poor and women so much, you will believe anything to try to justify it. You will hide under your disdain for trans people. Meanwhile, in Republican states, in Republican cities, some of the highest searchable corn content is trans corn. You want to complain about violent leftists, and the overwhelming majority of violent political rhetoric comes from the right. You want to complain about Biden era politics and policies, and yet there are Republican elected officials out there taking credit for it. Like, it's just this. I have to play some other sound for you. I've been back and forth on playing this. Well, let me play this. Here's another example. Here's another example of Donald Trump violating the Constitution. Just another example. He's being interviewed by a journalist yesterday. Here you go.
And what do you make Pam Bondi saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech. You probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate.
Because you treat me so unfairly. You said mean things about me. I'm going to send Pam Bondi, the incompetent fool, after you. Bunch of fucking softies.
You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me
A form of hate speech? You see my point? He just proved the point. Who the fuck is the arbiter? Who the fuck is the person that's going to make that determination? Isn't it subjective?
$16 million for a form of hate speech. So maybe they'll have to go after you. Look, we want everything to be, but we'll see what happens. And what do you make Pam Bondi saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech. We'll probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form.
You big fucking alpha, right? It's fucking MAGA's savior, this whiny little baby who wants to go after people because they said bad things about him. That's your guy, so he can feel strong. He's like actively threatening people in violation of the Constitution. So we went down this particular road leading up to the election, and none of you wanted to hear it. When there was posts from Donald Trump that says that I can terminate articles of the Constitution. And you're like, that's not going to do that. And he's fucking doing it every day. Every fucking day. It's something new. Every day. But again, it's the leftists. Okay. That's fine. So I'm going to play the sound from, trigger warning. Nancy Mace uses horrible T slur in this, but for context, I think it's necessary to play it. She's being interviewed by Don Lemon. And Don Lemon, now that he's not trapped under the umbrella of corporate media, he's out there doing what he needs to say. So trigger warnings again for some of the things that, in particular to our friends in the trans community, it's harsh. You've heard it. I don't mean to glorify it. I just think it's necessary to hear it. So this is Don Lemon interviewing Nancy Mace.
Is that you guys are saying that it mostly happens on the left. No statistic, no government statistic, no study group, the Cato Institute, the Anti-Defamation League, the FBI, no government statistic shows what you're saying. It's showing the exact opposite, that 60 to 75% of the political violence is committed by people on the right. But yet you, the president, the vice president, the Attorney General of the United States are giving false information to the American people that it only happens on the left and that it is.
Listen to her response.
Information about Republicans. You guys have called
us. But there's no facts to what you're saying.
Kamala Harris called us fascists while she was running for president.
Let's pause right there. Kamala Harris called us a fascist while she was running for president. Okay, so if fascist is the deal breaker for you, Nancy, then please explain to me how you're going to address this.
American politics today is between these far-left fascists, led by Harris and her group. We have a fascist person running who's incompetent. She's a Marxist, communist, fascist, socialist. She's not actually a socialist. She's gone past that. Somebody's got to explain this one. There's a radical left Marxist, communist, fascist.
So is that the line then, Nancy? Is that really the line?
The president called her fascist as well.
And you in the media have amplified that. You all have done that.
Because she's trapped now. Because Don Lemon's put her on blast. Put her on blast in front of a press gaggle. Don't forget, Nancy Mace is a survivor of grape. Okay? She's a survivor of grape. She signed the discharge petition to expose people who committed crimes against kids. All right, she did that. That's what she did. I have to keep telling myself that. But she is a despicable human being. She's running for the governorship of South Carolina, and she'll probably fucking win. She's trapped now, though. This is how she responds.
Man was killed last week for having the, quote, national conversation that you want to have so peacefully. He did that, and he was murdered for it. And I live under...
You don't know if that's true. You don't know what you don't know what the motivation is. Do you have evidence of that?
Well, they said on the bullets, there was fascist commentary on the bullets, pro-transgender commentary on the bullets. Don't give me the bullshit that
could very well be so, but we don't know if that's true right now.
Was a transgender, was a tranny. Come on, let's be honest about this.
That's disrespectful.
Republicans vote to table.
I really don't care because there are a lot of trannies out there that want me dead because I'm a rape victim who wants privacy in the bathroom. The trannies can F off. I don't care. They want to kill me, and they're not going to.
How would you like it?
That's not hate speech, though, right? That's not hate speech. Right? But that's not hate speech. My apologies again. I think it's necessary. I went back and forth wanting to play that, and I regret it now, but I think it's necessary. That's what we're talking about. And she's taken the microphone a lot. She's taken the microphone a lot. People know who she is. Don Lemon presents her the facts. That's how I would interview her. I would call that shit out. That's why we spend so much time connecting the dots. If your argument is, shouldn't be calling us fascists, well, your guy called him a fascist. There's the sound again. If that's the argument, if that's your whole game, then address this.
American politics today is between these far-left fascists led by Harris and her group.
Yep.
We have a fascist person running who's incompetent. She's a Marxist, communist, fascist, socialist. She's not actually a socialist. She's gone past that. Somebody's got to explain this to them. There's a radical left Marxist, communist, fascist.
First of all, communism, fascism. So you don't have an argument. Point is, you don't have an argument. Nancy Mace got fact-checked in real time. And good for Don Lemon. So Don Lemon, if you're watching, I'd love to come on your show. I respect you. I'm so psyched you're not working for the fucking machine anymore and you're out on your own. By the way, there's a great video of him racing my representative in Congress, Becca Balint, down the hallways of Congress. It was good to see some humanity. And if you're not following Becca Balint, please do so. She represents the land that does not exist, but she's a teacher. She's her partner. I think her partner is a teacher as well. I'm not sure. She is a proud representative of the LGBTQIA community in our state. I've spoken to her directly. I've had conversations with her in her office up here. I'm trying to get her on the show, but she voted against TikTok, so that's controversial. Anyway, I love to see that because those are voices that may not get national exposure, but people that are just out there doing the work, confronting this bullshit. She's the one that brought up censure resolutions against MTG. So, Dr. Dig, there you go. Anyway, what's the argument then? What's the argument? Are you so triggered? Are you so fucking soft? So pitifully soft, conservatives, that you're afraid of some words? We have to add it to the list now, friends. Remember we went down the list? They're afraid of rainbows. They're afraid of books. They're afraid of paper masks. They're afraid of Bud Light. They're now afraid of words. Sticks and stones might break my bones. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will really hurt me. And you guys get off on it. It's the strangest thing. It's the strangest thing. Niner Man, how are you today?
Good, sir. You? I say
Fine,
I disagree with a lot politically,
I kind of agree with a lot what you're saying, because he said fascist a bunch of times. They said just saying a word doesn't give anybody a right to unalive anybody. I don't know what words you can say now in the transition from TikTok from China to America. So if I say something wrong, just let me know.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, but
so go ahead.
I'm not going to get into politics. I know we disagree on politics. I talked to you before, but he's blaming the other side. I would say you can't blame somebody. I don't like Bondi. There's never a thought in my head that I want to go on a live to guy.
Zoran.
He calls marriage.
Zoran.
Calls marriage Zoran Mamdani for breeders and this and that, and doesn't like that. And that's his political view. If he wins in New York City, I live in New York, then they'll have to deal with it. But you can't use.
So do you
excuse Trump?
Right. Well, it's not just that. You got a really bad connection, Niner. We'll see if maybe it'll get better. But it's not quite exactly what it is that you're saying. What the argument is that I'd like to make is that the right is using violent rhetoric, and they are the number one perpetrators of political violence, and yet they want to spin the narrative onto the left.
Well, I want to say that
so why is that?
Look at the poll that just came out from YouGov. Well, I'm just saying. The poll that just came out, YouGov, very left, very liberal people are over 30 times more likely to say that it's okay to use political violence. Your opponent.
YouGov, that's a poll.
They were just
that's a poll. That's a poll, Niner. That's a poll. So, but what about the data? What about the data?
The last president
by Republicans.
He was not a Republican.
So they both were. They both were. So Niner, it's really hard to talk to you. I want to have this conversation, but I don't know what you're doing. So can you just get stationary for just a couple minutes so we can have this conversation?
Because there's a ton of background noise. I'm trying to get closer to my Wi-Fi. You should have. There.
Okay.
There. Is this better?
Okay. So yeah, it's better. So are you not aware of the data where it's the overwhelming, for 25 years, the overwhelming amounts of political oriented violence comes from the right. And it's not even close. In fact, there's more incidences of right-wing political violence than left-wing and extremist Islamic violence in our country by exponential amounts. So can you address that?
I disagree with you, at least in the last 10 years. 25 years, I'm not.
Niner man, it's not about disagreeing. You can't wait. Hold on. It's not about disagreeing. It's what the data tells us. We know that for a fact because the Pam Bondi Justice Department removed access to that information. We know it's true. We absolutely know it's true. It's not about disagreeing. We know that it's true. You can't disagree with the facts, Niner.
Well, you had threats against the Supreme Court justices when Democrats didn't like what was happening. They were going to.
What were the threats? Niner, what were the threats?
You remember they caught with I believe it was Pew Pew, and they wanted to unalive Justice Kavanaugh, and they got caught.
Were they? Or were they just out? Were they out protesting in front of their houses?
Come on, let's have an honest discussion about this.
I'm trying to get you to answer an honest question. I'm trying. Hold on. You said you want to have an honest conversation.
I do. So let's just be honest that there was threats against the Supreme Court's justices.
I didn't say there wasn't. Did I say that there wasn't?
One person got arrested near their house with weapons.
Did I say there wasn't? Did I say that there was not incidences of rhetoric from the left? Did I say that there wasn't? The argument is no. It's not what I said. What did I say?
I'll speak to your point that in the last 25 years, because I don't know the data about what happened, but I would say in the last 8 to 10 years, there's definitely been more violent acts, especially since Trump came onto the scene.
It's not true.
Nobody tried to unalive Obama. Nobody on the Republican side tried to unalive Biden.
Niner, it's not true. Again, using the term domestic offender, we've got the data, okay? Number of ideological motivated H-sides, attacks by far right versus far left since 1990, and it's just tracked up at a higher rate since 2015. So we know this. This goes back 25 years, plus the fact that it's a spike from 2015. Far right extremes, 227 incidences resulting in 520 deaths. Far left extremes, 42 incidences with 78 deaths. Are you refuting that information?
Yes, because I would like to know what they're calling it. It was kind of like when the police commissioner of Chicago got caught cooking the numbers to
Niner man.
make them look
Again,
better.
this is this.
I'm going
Okay,
by
listen.
what you see in the news right now.
Listen. It's not the news. I'm really trying to help you here. Okay, I'm asking you.
Stop talking down to me.
Niner, stop talking, dude. Stop talking and just listen. It's all I'm asking you to do. This is information from the Anti-Defamation League, the Southern Poverty Law Council, the FBI, the Department of Justice, the National Institute of Justice, the CDC, the CSIS. They all say the same thing. They all say the same thing. Cato Institute also published it. The data tracks with everybody that's been studying this. Now, we can pick isolated instances here and there, but we have to look at the overwhelming information. I don't know why it's so hard for you just to accept that. I'm not asking you to believe me. I would say go to the report, but the Pam Bondi Trump Justice Department deleted the record. We had to go to the Wayback Machine to get the information that they deleted. Again, the stats. 227 incidences in 25 years from far-right extremists resulting in 520 deaths. Far-left extremists, 42 incidences resulting in 78 deaths. Explain that to me.
I'm not going to explain it to you because I'd have to look at it myself. And what if they're just saying that, especially the Southern Poverty Law Center? Why would the CDC be looking at political violence? I mean, give me a break.
Because they look at all things. They study these kinds of things because they study these things, man. They study them. How about this? Let me try an experiment with you. Okay. Assume that I'm right.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. I got no problem with that.
Okay. Assume that I'm right. Assume that I'm right. That we have all the data, and then you and I agree that the overwhelming information on this topic is far right extremist violence. What do you think? Do you think it's responsible for the Trump presidency, members of his cabinet, members of his Justice Department, and other right-wing politicians like Nancy Mace? Do you think it's responsible for them to be going out and saying it's the left, it's the left, it's the left, it's the left?
No. Even if I agree with my numbers, I still don't think it's responsible.
But they're doing it.
But they're doing it. I can't tell President Trump what to do. I don't vote for him.
You can hold him accountable, though, right?
Yeah,
but you can hold him accountable, can't you?
Dude, I think you're 100% right. He shouldn't be saying that it's all on the far left because it's not. And you can't really blame somebody's political affiliation for doing it. I mean,
they are. But that's what Trump is doing, though.
I didn't agree with it when he's doing it. I didn't agree with it when Chuck Schumer did it. I don't agree with it when anybody does it.
What did Chuck Schumer do?
When he was blaming the Supreme Court justices after they had those threats on their lives. Well, when he was going fight, and we got to take out these judges, and then he had to go back.
Free speech, right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't agree with it when he did it, and I don't agree with it when Trump done it. But he has the right to say it.
But you voted for Trump.
Yeah, because I like his fiscal policies and his overseas policies.
The fiscal policy, the overseas. Okay, which one do you want to tackle first? His fiscal policies.
I like his support of Israel. I like his fiscal policies making me a lot of money. I made over 200 grand.
Fiscal.
Yeah.
Fiscal. Last year you did? Good for you. Thank you, Joe Biden.
No, it wasn't because of Joe Biden.
You said last year. You said you made over $200,000 last year. That'd be Joe Biden, dude. You're welcome.
Yeah, it wasn't because of him. The tax breaks.
But you just said it was because of Trump.
The Trump tax breaks during his original term helped me out immensely.
You said last year.
Yeah, and I've made more than that year. I've made that's about my average price because of the Trump's tax credits with my business.
Tax credit, right? Okay.
Biden wants to,
are you
Biden wants to,
Niner? Wait.
All right. This is what I mean. You don't agree what I say, and it's your life.
It's not about Niner. It's not about not agreeing. It's not about not agreeing. I'm hoping you're calm. You and I have spoken before. You stay calm, and I respect that. And I respect that. Man to man, you have been lied to. You've been lied to numerous times. Numerous times. You said you respect me. So if I want to lean in on that, and I want you to try to listen, because if you're basing it on his fiscal policies, we had a booming economy when Donald Trump took over in 2017. He initiated tariffs that cost us manufacturing jobs, that started the housing crisis that we have.
That's not true.
And you can make
that's not true. The Frank Dodd Act was
it is absolutely true. It is true.
That watches The Big Short and you don't even have to study it. That was because of the banks doing the AAA and
yeah. And how did that start?
Had nothing to do with Trump. That was under a bipartisan agreement under Frank Dodd.
Who was the president when it started?
When it was when the deregulation wasn't Trump. That was under Bush, and then
it was. But guess what? But guess what? Guess who mirrored those policies, dude? Deregulating the housing industry.
Trump was even into politics, though. You just blame Trump. The housing crisis had nothing to do with him.
Did I say the housing crisis had everything to do with Trump?
Well, you just applied.
Are those the words that you're not? No, it's not. You're not listening. Bro, take a breath.
But you just said we were talking about Trump and you went to the housing.
Niner. Take a breath.
I am taking a breath.
Okay.
You missed my. You brought up the housing crisis, what had nothing to do with
That's absolutely wrong. I talked about he inherited a booming economy because Barack Obama had to fix the shit that Bush left because of deregulation, because of tax cuts for the rich. These things track. We've got 50 plus years of data that tells us Republican policies, economic policies in general, are not beneficial to the middle class. They benefit the 1%. That is evident. We've got all the data. I'm not going to try to debate it with you because you're not going to believe it anyway. We know that since 1980, 51 million jobs have been created in America. 50 million created under Democratic policies. We know that's true as well.
Accurate.
It is true. You can look at you can look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Are you going to say we can't trust that?
It's the same. This is from the same party that Joe Biden claimed that all the jobs that lost COVID that he brought back when it was just people getting their jobs back. So
that's not true, Niner. That's not true either. Those jobs were returned. Wait, it's Niner. Listen.
He claimed that they were jobs.
Niner. He recovered the jobs and then grew jobs on top of that. My point to you is, because you talked about fiscal policy. During the first Trump administration, a lot of the tariffs that he imposed, in particular on lumber and steel for Canada, cost us manufacturing jobs in our country. All economic experts were pointing to an economic recession, and you could make the argument that COVID saved Trump. I'm not blaming him for COVID. I'm not going down that road. I think Project Warp Speed was a great thing to avoid some regulation, to get vaccines out into people's arms. But we were heading there. So here we are now. We've got 9 months now of the Trump presidency. Inflation is up. Gas prices are up. CPI is up.
Come on, PPI is up. More honest than that. And gas is down from when it was under Biden. Inflation is still lower than it ever was under Biden.
That's not true at all.
Down.
That's not true at all.
Inflation under Biden had almost 11%. It's 3.2% right now.
No, it's actually, that's wrong. You can't pick a month, my guy. Why did Joe Biden cause the inflation? It was 9% was the highest. Wait, Niner. No. Try to listen, man. I'm trying really, really hard here, okay?
Inflation has never hit 9% under Trump.
I didn't say that. I'm asking you, what did Joe Biden do to cause inflation to go to 9%?
The American Rescue Plan or whatever, where he gave
the Inflation Reduction Act. Well, the Inflation Reduction Act, actually, after the Inflation Reduction Act was signed, 2 months later, inflation started to go down, and it was dropping ever since.
And his what do they call it? The American Rescue Plan. Wait. I'm trying to tell you why he gave all that money out to people. I can't remember the.
Trump spent more.
Not in free handouts to people.
He did. He spent more. Even if you remove COVID funding, he still spent more.
No, I'm talking about the increased inflation.
COVID spending.
The COVID money.
COVID spending.
Trump
spent more.
My neighbor got.
Trump spent more.
$8,400 from the government for no
Trump
reason.
Spent more.
Is that your mantra?
It's
He might
true.
have spent more, but he didn't send that money out to all the people so they could go buy more.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
What was the CARES Act?
He did not spend as much money as Biden under the American Rescue Plan.
What was the CARES Act?
No, he didn't.
He did. I'll prove it to you. Give me a second to find the graph. I'll prove it to you. You're not going to like it. You're not going to like it, but I'm going to prove it to you. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So your claim is that Biden spent more.
No,
you're not going to like it.
I'm not talking about government spending. I'm talking about in the stimulus.
COVID spending. Yeah,
no,
COVID
the
spending.
Stimulus checks only to families.
COVID spending. That's what we're talking about.
No,
stimulus
COVID
checks.
Spending goes to a lot. COVID spending goes to funding medical supplies for hospital. It goes to research. It goes to vaccine. It goes to Moderna.
You're talking about the American Rescue Plan, and you're talking about the CARES Act specifically. I know what you're talking about.
No,
Here we go.
Talk about inflation.
Look.
For somebody
It's
that's
right
so
here.
smart, you're
Niner.
Listen, I'm agreeing with you that he spent more money than Joe Biden overall. All right. For somebody that's so
what does that say?
My point.
What does it say? What does it say?
I already agreed to you.
This says no. This says non-COVID. Okay, this says non-COVID spending on COVID.
He increased the deficit more than Biden. I'm giving you that. Okay, I'm giving you that.
Did.
What I'm talking about is what we were talking about: inflation. Inflation. Yeah. When you inject that much money into the economy,
so then it's Trump's fault. So then it's Trump's fault.
It's not. Oh my God. Why are you being so difficult on this when we're just talking about the stimulus checks that went out to people? A lot of people that were still working that never lost a dime during COVID got all this money.
So then it's Trump's fault.
Other COVID relief. That's not just the stimulus checks.
It's the same category as Biden. The exact same category. It's the exact same category. They categorize them the exact same way. The exact same way.
As you said, you're in your bubble. I guess I'm in mine. Biden sent out
what bubble? He didn't. My God, dude, it's right there.
He sent out almost $4,000 per person. Trump sent out that much.
Niner, look at the chart. Okay, look at the chart. Try to come out of your bubble for just a second. Look at the chart.
And other COVID relief. All we got there is American Rescue Plan. So just
look at the chart. What does it say? What does it say?
Never mind. You're being disingenuous now.
I'm asking you to look.
One says CARES and other COVID relief. One says American Rescue Plan.
And other COVID relief. Dude, come on. They each had a policy. One had CARES. The other had the American Rescue Plan. So why is it so difficult for you to accept that? So if you want to, let's use your logic. Let's use your logic. If your logic is the reason that we had inflation was because of money being injected in the economy because of COVID, then we have Donald Trump to blame for that. Because wait a minute. Wait. Because using your logic, it was Donald Trump who injected more cash into our system, not Biden. Right? Let's use your logic. I can't talk to you if you're going to be teacupping. Niner.
Sorry, you didn't want background noise, so I had to.
Okay, so again, if we're going to use your logic. You said the reason we had such high inflation is because all this money that got injected to the economy. And Donald Trump injected more money into the economy. And you know what? I don't blame him for doing it. Wait a minute. I don't blame him for doing that. The lesson that we learned from the Great Recession of 2008, caused by, again, Republican policies, is we did not do that enough. It took us a lot longer to recover because we did not put cash in the hands of consumers. So I don't fault him for doing that. I think it was a responsible strategy because you need consumers to continue to spend money in capitalism. But if your argument is we're going to blame Biden for sending cash into the economy, then guess what, my guy? You got to be sincere and you got to be consistent and say Trump did more. I showed you the numbers. I gave you the argument. I even gave you a bit of a win to say, if you want to use that as your argument to say that's a cause for inflation, then yeah, I'll agree with you. But the receipts tell us that Trump spent more money.
That not in stimulus checks to the American people. He spent more money.
I just showed you.
No, you did.
I just showed you.
That's a bullshit
I did. Dude, I just showed you. You don't want to accept it. I just showed you.
It says COVID and other spending. He spent a lot of money.
It said the same thing for Trump. CARES Act, and it said the same thing. It said CARES Act and American Rescue Plan. They're both, Jesus Christ, dude. I've tried. I'm sorry, but you need to leave. Oh my God. And gas prices, by the way, currently at the end of August are $3.26. When Joe Biden's last month in office in December, gas prices were $3.13. The inflation rate that's been tracked, we can go back to, let's see, when Barack Obama left office in 2000, let's see, his last full month would have been 2016. It was 1.3%. At the end of January, it was 2.5. The next year, it was 2.7, then 2.4, then 2.2. So for the first 1, 2, 3, in fact, the entire first year of this is from EI, this is from the let's see, this is from the U.S. inflation calculator. This is from, let me show the data here. The last year, 2016, the inflation rate in the U.S. at the end of December was 1.3%. Starting in January of, let's not even include January because half of that was Obama and half of that was Trump. Let's start with February. 2.5%, 2.7%, 2.4%, 2.2, 1.9, 1.6, 1.7, 1.9, 2.2, 2.0, 2.2, 2.1, 2.1. Every single month of Donald Trump's first year as a president, the inflation rate was higher. He wants to point to COVID stimulus. Or he wants to point to the economy. If the argument that you want to make is that we spent too much money and injected too much cash in the system, you could make that argument, but our country recovered quicker than any other country on earth. You can make that argument. You can make that argument if you want to. So, and he said 11%. The highest inflation rate, the highest inflation went in our country was 9.1%, and that was in June of 2022. The Inflation Reduction Act was signed, I believe, in July of 2023, June of 2023, and ever since then, the inflation rate has dropped on the aggregate. So it's like, you want to use the economic argument, and I'm not an economist, I'll just dunk on your ass by just looking at the data. If you want to talk about foreign wars, we got Russia sending fucking drones into Poland, fucking drones into Romania. We got Israel popping off. We got a U.S. brokered peace summit in Qatar, and the Israeli military's taking out residential buildings. We got Kim Jong-un, we got Xi Jinping, we got President Modi, we got Putin all gathered together saying, fuck the West, let's build our own economic engine. We got inflation up. We got the wholesale price indicators up across the fucking board. Across the board. Niner, you're not a bad guy. Wake the fuck up, man. Just wake up. I appreciate you agreeing, at least, eventually, when I showed you the data, that the president should not be saying the bullshit that he's saying. I tried. I tried really hard. I really, really did. I tried. Hey, bro. How are you?
What's up, Steve? How you been?
It's been a while, man. My friend, it's good to see you. What's going on?
Oh, nothing. Just wanted to touch on a couple points on your live. I've been listening all morning, and I've been trying to say this, and no one's been hearing me because no one reads the comments. So I wanted to say it to you.
I'm sorry, buddy. It happens sometimes.
No, I get it. So the way I see it is, first of all, these folks are schoolyard bullies because the majority of violence, it comes from the right. Anytime something happens to them without any evidence, they start pointing fingers, right? So it's a schoolyard bully, elementary style tactic that works because most of their voters think that way.
That's true.
Also, they're trying to say that we should mourn Kirk, which none of us do. Some do, but saying that he was taken out because of his political beliefs and he was nonviolent and all that. But also, the point I like to make is Bin Laden didn't fly the planes, so right.
Good point.
Schindler never actually unalived somebody himself, right?
Correct.
It was all rhetoric. So according to their way of thinking, then those people were innocent, right? And they're defending fascism at this point, actually calling themselves fascists and saying if you're not a fascist, you are wrong in America. Pointing out that the shooter's partner is LGBT trans, and saying that makes him a Democrat. But I like to make it a point that anytime the RNC gathers, Grindr app crashes.
Yep.
Right.
And again, we're not kink shaming. Do whatever makes you happy, right? Whatever makes you happy, but just don't use it as ammunition against marginalized communities.
Absolutely. We're not shaming at all. I'm just saying, let's look at it in honesty.
Correct.
Honestly, there's LGBTQ people on both sides. So just because he was with a partner like that doesn't mean that he was a Democrat. And the last thing I'd like to point out is being gay or having liking for the same sex is not necessarily a Democrat thing. It's a human thing. You love who you love. So.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. That's why you're a good human. That's why it's good to call you a friend. I appreciate you, buddy. As always.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Always. You too. See you later. It's a great perspective. Like, that's all we're talking about, right? Like, I mean, we've got people like Niner. Niner's not a bad guy. I mean, I've had conversations. He avoids a lot of the bullshit like most do. But you are so indoctrinated. You literally think that you're voting for something that you're not voting for. I love Tuna. Exactly. We've spoken. I've told him next time I get down his way, he's going to make some barbecue for me, and I can't wait. So I will take you up on that, my friend, when it happens. Now I'm hungry. Yeah. So when your belief set, when you really feel that you benefited from economic policies and you didn't, when you really feel he's the strong man with a great foreign policy and he's not, when you really feel like he's putting America first when he isn't. So the last thing that people on our side have left to say, then obviously you might be a little racist. You might be bigoted. You might be a misogynist. And this is what I would ask, and I'm not making that accusation of Niner, okay? He's trying to unpack some shit, he can tell. I would just like to ask MAGA just to admit it. Just come out and say, I'm a racist, I'm a bigot. Because it just would be easier. You like the shirt, twirl that. Just be easier, because we know. Just come out and say it. For people arguing, I oftentimes refer to the Necessary Conversation podcast. I talked to you guys about this. Mom doesn't think that Charlie Kirk's a racist because mom's a racist. Let's be real. You cannot objectively look at the things that he has said about the black community in particular and black women in particular and not think that it's not racist. You just can't. It's the white fragility prayer. I got to get that and remember it. I'll try to memorize it so I know what it is. It talks about it in great terms, right? Just like, it's racism exists, but it's not me. Racism's around me, but it's not me, right? You can't you can't say you're not a bigot and support people who are obvious bigots. If you sit down to the table with 9 Nazis, there's 10 Nazis at the table. If you sit down at a table with 12 racists, there's 13 racists at the table. I don't know what to tell you. Just be honest, because we see it. Just be honest. Just be like, yeah, I'm a racist and I struggle with it, and I'm going to support people who are racist too, because that's what I think is. That's what I think is. I think it's better. I think it's better to be a racist, as they like to say. Nady, how are you today?
I'm good. Good morning to you, Steve, and to everyone. I just have one point to say to Niner Man. You said he's a good person. No, he's not. How dare he can say that he made $200K from this policy and he's happy, And he's so angry that his neighbor family got only 8,000 during the pandemic so they can pay their bills or provide their families with whatever. And he is happy of making 200, and he's sad that his neighbors made 8,000. This is ridiculous. This is unacceptable. How do you want our brain to accept that and think that you are a good man? No, you're not. You're greedy. You're taking care only of yourself. Thank you.
That's fair, Nini. That's fair. I appreciate that. I appreciate that check on that. I guess I just compared to some of the people that I speak to. You're right, but you're absolutely right. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you for calling that out, Nini. Thank you very much for that. Anything else on your mind?
No, thank you. As you maybe you noticed or not, I changed my picture, my name, the spelling of my name because I don't feel safe. I don't accept any followers anymore. I don't feel safe. I care about my family. I got some threats from my Egyptian people, and because I support Democrats and they're not. So I got some threats to send me eyes or whatever. I'm a citizen anyway. I don't care. But I feel that I'm responsible for my family. We don't have any family members. It's only me and my kids. So I needed to protect them. So I changed everything. I'm so sad that I had to do this in the US. I've never imagined this could happen one day. But maybe you are the only panel that I can speak freely on. And thank you for this chance. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, Nani. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your voice. Thank you so much. It's a fair point. It's a fair point. It's, in just compared to some of the people that we speak to. But you're right. You're not a good person if you're still supporting somebody who's done, as she described, just marginalized communities. But yeah, let me just, it's been a minute since Discord just loaded for me, mods. So if you guys have been trying to kick me in the shin, my apologies. It literally just loaded. That's right. I forgot all about that. People were in need. Thanks, Cookie. People were in need the first time, and he held up the first check so his own name could be put on it. Remember that? Forgot all about that. I got a lot of catching up to do. Sorry. Yeah, okay. We have confirmed the lynchings in Mississippi. We'll post that in the Discord. Thank you, Jess. Appreciate that. Okay. Anyway, the topic of the show today has been just the mountain of lies. And I just feel like there's people that are just living in it and just unwilling to accept it. And that's cult speak. That's what happens. Yeah, sure, Rusty. I got you, buddy. Hey, man. How are you?
Hey, my brother. I just had one point and one question. And the question's not for you. It's a question I normally ask MAGA, like the guy you had on just a minute ago. The point I wanted to make is when you present numbers and statistics to them, instead of presenting their own counter argument, they question the source from which you got it.
Oh, always.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's Southern Poverty Law Center. Yeah, Southern Poverty Law Center. You don't like them, so you're going to question their motives and their numbers instead of saying, well, no, their numbers are wrong, and here's why their numbers are wrong. You know as well as I do.
That's the mind game, right? That's part of the strategy. That's part of the cult strategy. Because if the cult leader says contradictory to what the actual data says, then I, of course, have to believe the cult leader.
Absolutely. And the question, much like the last person you had on, when he was talking about how he made $200,000,
yeah,
the immediate question that I have asked a whole bunch popped into my head: how much is your soul worth? Because if all of a sudden, I have said repeatedly, as I'm sure you've heard, if Mushmouth Mango Tits promised me a bucket of gold and a fresh puppy every year, and he delivered on it, I don't care. I want women to have bodily autonomy. I want people to be treated fairly and equally. I, don't want people to be gathered up off the streets. You can't pay me off to breach human rights. There is no price that I have to sell my soul for that. But he obviously does. So, okay, just be honest. Say, yep, my soul is for sale.
Yeah. Remember the conversations you and I have had about how, and this has been studied for a very long time, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but this has been studied, Republican, conservative versus liberal approaches to things. Conservatives talk about it and they brag about it. They vote for themselves.
Yes.
It's my money, it's my wallet, it's my rights, it's my freedoms. You can hear it when they talk about it. Yeah. I made money. I made $200,000. I'll defend my family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Where us radical leftists, I vote for Rusty's kids. Rusty votes for my kids. We vote for MAGA's kids. We vote for the women in their lives to have access to their fucking bodies. We vote for the marginalized communities. We try to use our white privilege to help progress society. That's a fundamental difference between liberals and conservatives. It's been studied for decades. Think about what the terms mean, right? Conserve, progress.
Well, I think George Carlin.
Me first and last.
Yeah, I think George Carlin said it really well when he said, liberals are about people and conservatives are about property. And
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, it is. It's 100% true. And is property important? Absolutely it is. Is money important?
Sure.
Absolutely it is. But is it important? Is it so important that I'm willing to put my boot heel on somebody else's neck so I can make a nickel? No.
Correct.
No. And I know Correct. some people will say, "Oh, that's just being weak." No. It's not.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's not. And I think this whole exercise, I don't know if you heard the first part of the show today when RTP joined us, talking about the situation that we got from the charging document in Utah about how the right's going to jump on the fact that his mother said that he's leaned left. Did he lean left, or did he just realize that I grew up in an environment that perpetuates hate? That I myself might be realizing or coming to terms with my own sexuality. And people have been going after people just because they love who they love, or they want to be who they are, identify who they are. If that means they've turned left, then I'm a proud fucking leftist, even though I'm a progressive. That's the amazing part. Now you can't even, because conservatives don't want you to be who you are. They want you to be who they tell you to be.
Well, they want you to also be who they can cash in on.
Of course, take advantage of. Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Exactly. Use as a tool. Use as a tool to power.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
I'm going to have some background
noise
here in just a second, so I will talk to you later, brother.
Okay, bud. See you later.
Bye.
Rusty's perspective is great on that, right? I mean, here we are, a couple of older. Rusty's always going to be older than me. Just want to let you know that, buddy. Love you, man. I want a position like I want to use my privilege, right? Like I want to use it. And I've said this before. I can assimilate anywhere. I ride motorcycles. I've got tattoos. I like to work on bikes. I hunt. I fish. I built shit. Like I played sports all through high school and college. I can assimilate anywhere. And I wish more people who looked like me did the same thing. That's why we say it's all men until it's no men, for one of those reasons. Not just because it is all men because it's no men, or it's all men until it's no men. It's because not enough people who look like me are willing to accept their privilege and then going into communities saying, this shit ain't fucking working. Do fucking better. I'll use that as a reminder. There's a channel in our Discord, Building a Better Man. We want to do a live topic on this. Like, how do we do it? What does that look like? Because, as we know, the last demographic that is holding us back as a society from progress are white men. Overwhelming majority of perpetrators of violent crime in our country are white men. Overwhelming perpetrators of crimes against women are white men. Overwhelming perpetrators of political-oriented violence, extreme violence, are white men. So if that is the cause, then what the fuck is the cure? Because they're not just going to disappear. They're not going to just disappear. And I know people on the right are not going to believe it. They're going to try to use some racist trope. They're going to try to use some demoralization or minimizing of a marginalized community because it doesn't fit their own narrative. We've talked about gun crimes. We've talked about school shooters. What's the number? 96% school shooters, white men. I want to address it. They don't want to talk about it. I will. I would like to have other cis white hetero men join me in that fight. And I want people in our community who are so active, which is why we call you guys the smartest chat on TikTok. It's funny because when we asked this question, I had this idea a few weeks ago. Thank you, Sam, for responding to my text. I had this idea and I was like, popping off. So we built a channel in our Discord and even asking our own community. We all, even though they're some of the smartest people that I have the pleasure of becoming friends with in our mod community, many people struggled trying to come up with what that list would look like. And then we asked the question, aren't those the bare minimums? Oh, my partner holds the door open for me. I hope the fuck so. my partner picks up the breakfast dishes. I hope the fuck so. Was that where we've landed? Like the bare minimum now is good enough? I hope that's not true. I hope that's not true, but it seems like it. So here we are. We've got the last group of people that's holding society back. By the way, that same group of people, white men in America, more privileged than any part of human history, in my opinion. White Christian men in America have more privilege than any other demographic in human history, in my opinion. I'm not talking born into privilege. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about societal privilege. You're just, oh yeah, you're born into it because you're born white. Let's be real. I just want to fix it. I just want to do something about it. Like it's not, women, it's not your job. I know that. And you know that. It's got to come from us. And how the fuck does that happen? Robin Hood, just go leave. You're just a troll. Just get the fuck out of here. So how do we fix it? So again, there's a Discord channel, The Blueprint of a Better Man. Just think of it in terms of not what your partner does for you, right? Because they're your partner now. Not just what your partner does, but what would that look like? Do you want honesty, integrity, vulnerability, accountability, the ability to express emotions that are not just anger and lust, right? Those kinds of things. If we're talking about molding this, right? Molding and what that would look like, how you want the young men in your life, the boys in your life, how you want them to be in the world. Because I love the analogy. I forgot who said it, but I like it. There's 100 red M&Ms in a bowl. Okay? One of them is poison. And if you eat that one, it's going to kill you. That's what it's like for women to walk into a room with men. They don't know which one's going to kill you. That's why it's all men until it's no men. Our society is being held back because people who are just delusional about their status, thinking that they're owed something, just want society to fail because they don't want black and brown people to succeed and or surpass them. Just don't. They don't want women to have expanded rights because that means they won't have as many in their mind. They're unwilling to accept the fact that black women are the most educated demographic in our country currently. They're afraid of it. They're just afraid of it. And unless more dudes call this shit out, it ain't going to work. It's not going to get fixed. It's not. It's not. Just like we talked about with Jay earlier, it's going to take Republicans. We need 10 Republicans in the Senate. 10 Republicans in the Senate. Because you know full well articles of impeachment, when the Democrats take the House, if we have elections, and I still have to believe that we are, when the Democrats take the House, they will file articles of impeachment. They will pass. It takes 70, 60, takes 66, right? Whatever the number is. Got to have it. Got to happen. Are they going to show up? Are they so afraid of, are they so bloodthirsty for power? Yeah, you're right, Lisa. Same with racism. It's all white people until it's none. Exactly. It's just an acknowledgement of the system that you're in. Right? Think about the majority of people who are in Congress. Think about the majority of senators on the Republican side. What are they? White men. System of predators protecting predators. Why do you think they don't want why do you think at the end of the day, it's not just about Trump on the Epstein files? Because he's all over it. Right? He's all over it. It's about everybody else. And it may not be an elected member of Congress, although Ghislaine Maxwell in her testimony alluded to the fact, yeah, it's 67. Thank you. It's 67. So let's assuming it's 50-50 and it's gonna require 70 votes, 67 votes, 7 Republicans to show up and do it. So back to what I was just saying, it's not that there is necessarily a Republican member of the cabinet that's connected to the Epstein files, possibly. It's about the people that support them. It's about the billionaire class that funnels their campaign. It's about AIPAC. It's about the gun lobby. It's about deep pockets from Silicon Valley. It's all those people that are the primary funders. And again, there's a lot of that funding that goes on the Democratic side. And I'm not picking sides in this one. I just want all that fucking trash cleaned up and thrown out. Which, again, just defeats the entire narrative from the right. That the right genuinely cares about children and their safety? No, they don't. They don't give a fuck. They don't fucking care. They don't care about it at all. They don't care about it at all. And now we've got a budget fight. And you guys remember a few weeks ago when I told you that the Democrats should be out in front of this right now, calling it the Trump shutdown? You know what John Thune, the Senate leader, said yesterday to the press? Calling it the Schumer shutdown. DNC, fuck you. I fucking told you so. And you didn't listen. You didn't listen to the silver-haired, nail-polished, girl dad wearing dude who lives in the land that doesn't exist. You didn't listen to me again. And you're gonna have to fucking live with this shit because you're gonna just not do goddamn thing. You had a chance. Soon as they closed up shop, and as soon as the coward Mike Johnson said everybody home, you should have been out there every fucking day spending your fucking money and saying the government shut down, the government wants to deny workers' rights. The Trump administration, MAGA Republicans want to defund the police. MAGA Republicans are pro-crime. MAGA Republicans are cutting your SNAP benefits. MAGA Republicans are decimating rural hospitals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nope. I'm going to go back, grab my quill pen, and write another strongly worded letter. Fuck you, Chuck Schumer. Fuck you, corporate Democrats. Get your shit together. Get your shit together. Understand that there are people ideologically in the party that support what you support. Ideologically. Get off your fucking ass. Get off your ass. Get off your fucking ass and listen to people. And start being aggressive. Thank you, Cory Booker, even though I have issues with you. Hakeem Jeffries? Nah, not doing it for me, dude. Not doing it for me. Thank you, Sheldon Whitehouse, for calling that bullshit out yesterday. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for finally showing some fucking ball or showing a vagina. Because your balls are fucking weak. We know that for sure. Now, I've said this publicly, and I'll say it again. I look at the Democratic Party, thank you, Victoria, as public transportation. Helps me get closer to where I need to go. Thank you, Don Lemon, exactly. And I will use it, and I will vote for the Democratic candidate, no matter who it is. And I would call people on the left to put your entitlement bullshit down, to stop your apathy. No more fucking excuses. No more. Just fucking vote blue no matter who, and then hold your elected officials accountable. And when you go to elect down ballot Democrats, look for the progressives and then hold them to it. Stop accepting shit. Just like we said when we're talking about building a better man, stop settling. Stop saying, yeah, I just hope that he would hold the car door open for me. Really? Really? Women, is that enough for you? It's a hard question. Ask yourself that. Is that enough? Is that enough? Did they just be kind? Is that how far we have fallen? The expectation is just going to be kind and that's enough? Don't lower your standards. Demand shit. I don't want anybody talking to me about expanding the ACA. I want universal fucking healthcare. I want it. I don't want somebody telling me that, yeah, we're going to talk about court reform. No, I want legislation for court reform. Yeah, we got to figure out a way to bipartisan get rid of Citizens United. No, fuck you. I want you to run on get overturning Citizens United. I want impeachment hearings. I want Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, etc., dragged in front of Congress with chairmanship on the Democratic side and fucking grilled to answer questions. And then in a new administration, when there's a new DOJ and a new attorney general, I want them charged for their criminality. Fuck this bullshit. Fuck this playing nice. Due respect, Michelle, when they go low, let's get into the fucking mud. Let's get into the mud. What's the old adage? Playing handball against the curb. It's primary season. We have choices now. We don't have to. We don't have to blue no matter who yet. I disagree, Martina. Can't divide the party. Got to get the person who's going to win. That's what we have to do. It is primary season. We can align behind a candidate. If that candidate doesn't win, what are you going to do? So I know your point. I just don't agree. This is a fight, okay? This is a fight, and people don't understand it. It bugs the shit out of me that we've got so much apathy in our politics. So much apathy. And I say this a lot, and I don't ask a lot of you guys. I would never. I do this because it's important to me, and I had some moments yesterday. I actually asked a couple members of my team to say, am I causing more harm because we're re-traumatizing people? And I think it's part of the territory. And this is not about me, but if I'm not talking about this, if I'm not a white dude talking about how fucking bullshit men are, who's going to do it? If I'm not calling out, if I'm not using my platform here as small as it is or whatever to stop, to remind people that we cannot accept status quo, then who's going to do it? Who's going to fucking do it? So do me a solid and put your entitlement away and do something. Stand the fuck up. Stand the fuck up. No, I got you. I know. I think I knew what you meant, Martina. Yeah, you voted Mamdani. That's a perfect example. That's what you want for change. But if Mamdani didn't win, you would vote for the Democrat. I hope. Eric Adams, that's a tough call. That's a tough call. Thankfully, it's a mayoral race and not a national race. But isn't there enough information? People on the left, entitled leftists in particular, you've got a lot. You're to blame for this too, because you didn't show up. You didn't show up. I want people to keep an eye on Minnesota, to be in particular, because Tim Walz is running again. I really want people to keep an eye on that state, because the things that he is doing there are progressive policies that I love. Expanding school lunch and school breakfast programs for kids, funding community health centers, all the things that I truly care about. And you know what? It's working, because Minnesota is becoming one of those states that's really, really popular. In fact, it ranks in the top 5 in just about every category for places to people live. Although I will say this, coming from the land that doesn't exist, Minneapolis, coldest fucking place I've ever been in my life. Like, you walk outside and the snot in your nose immediately freezes. But I'll take that. Right? They also have these really cool sky bridges that you don't even have to go outside. Anyway, but there are policies that prove that liberal-leaning progressive policies work for the betterment of the whole state. It's a great model. It's a fantastic model to use. And people support it, right? And people support it. And Tim Walz isn't hardcore progressive, but he's pretty close. It's pretty close, right? There's certain things that I would want to go further. I want to go further. Like, I would love to see legislation in a state to say, in our state universities are free for citizens of our state. That's the shit that I want to see. Why don't we demand it? Why do we constantly just settle? No. Why? Revolutions happen all over the place in human history. What do we see in other democracies around the world? What's going on in Nepal? That shit's fucking wild. What happened in France? Seriously. Why is it just us? Apparently the city on the hill, the shining city on the hill, the example for democracy? Fuck that. It's another lie that we've been told. There's people in our country that just need government to help them. And those same people, not that they're asking for government to help them, but government can. I believe government serves a purpose. I really do. I really, really do. And we just don't get it. I missed your notes, Sam. Hold on a second. Okay, no worries. Good morning. How are you?
I am alive. How are you?
That's good. Same. It's good.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
I wanted to address what you said about universal health care and just put it from like a nursing perspective, right? So you guys now know I'm a nurse, and I recently got a new job still working in mental health nursing because it is my passion. Now I work in a mental health hospital, and I work at night by myself with 18 patients and one other tech on the floor. So there's 2 people to 18 patients. And all I can think of is that if I lived in a society where I had universal health care, we would not be having one nurse to 18 patients and one tech to 18 patients. That would not be happening, especially with the severity
it wouldn't.
Yeah, and this is like severe, like it's a mental health hospital. These people are actively suicidal. I'm sorry, that's probably not a TikTok friendly word.
Sorry.
But they're actively, they are looking for self-deletion. They're actively going through these horrible things. And yet I was by myself last night with one other tech. And it's just frustrating and upsetting. And I love my job, right? I love being a nurse. But when you go through that and you're so busy and you're so worried about something happening, it just makes you go, why did I choose this?
That's my concern for your profession. That and teachers in particular. Public servants, civil servants who dedicate their lives to certain things. In your case, nurses never get enough credit. Teachers never get enough credit. We know that. That's my concern. What's the draw? Hopefully there's the passion there, but if you're just going to get just diminished, if you're just going to get just dragged through I saw that show with Noah Wiley, The Pit. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, it was really good.
Oh my God, it was incredible. And I'm just thinking, holy shit. Not only do we think about just the difficulty of what the things that they have to process, but their own lives too. Everybody's own life because we're all humans. We all have mental health challenges. We all have family stuff. We all got all kinds of things going on. And yet those people are expected to take care of all of our shit. Well, they got their own shit going on. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's wild. And I know, and that it's because it's profits over people. They don't care. They accept patients that are not safe for our facility, meaning that they have a violent past, which I'm not judging by any means, but that just means that you're not the acuity for our hospital, but their motto is heads and beds, so they can get that money.
Exactly right.
it does, it will take one of the nurses getting harmed by a patient. That's what it'll take until something changes.
You're right, and I think about my own family's experience when my daughter was going through treatment. Most systems, unless it's a dedicated children's hospital, is not set up to process kids because they just need to get people in and get people out. She had a lot of anxiety built up around her shots and her chemotherapy and all that kind of stuff. It took a long time. It took tremendous patience from certain people, and to remember those moments, there's frustration on their face like, we got to get on to the next patient. I'm like, we'll take as long as we fucking need. That's how it's going to work. And I felt bad for them, but they're under pressure because, like you said, it's numbers, it's profit, it's churn and burn.
Yeah,
and it's
I really
crazy.
do pride myself on never taking that out on the patients because I love that's why I do it, right? I do it not only because I love my patients, but also I understand mental health because I've experienced mental health. So I can relate what it's like to be on the other side. So I will never take it out on the patients, but it's just frustrating when my thing is my major anxiety that something's going to happen to them because I'm stuck doing something else with someone else.
I get that. That's we're going to need nurses on our island of empaths. Like I said, we're not going to get a hell of a lot done, but we're going to make sure that we're all taken care of. We're going to need nurses, so you can join us.
Okay, good, because I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Everybody gets their blood pressure taken every Monday.
Every Monday. I appreciate you, friend. As always. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Be safe out there. Okay. All right. Bye.
You too.
Yeah, we're taking applications for the island of empaths. Apparently, empaths a made up word, I guess. But I guess we'll maybe rewrite the script a little bit. I'm going to bring up Brooke. She'll do a couple of mod announcements, and I'm just going to run and take a quick break. Hello. Good timing. I'm going to run and take a quick break. I'm giving you the keys to the car. Be right back.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's me again. If you were here earlier, I got to talk to you about how wonderful our host is, how much we, the back end of everything, love him, and I am sure you all love him just as much. So if you are here and you are enjoying all of the education that Fax is giving you, please consider contributing to the gifting goal. His pay apps are all Factsstillmatter, and we'd like to get to this goal. So $2, $1, anything that you can contribute definitely would help. Keeps us, we are crowdfunded, so that keeps us able to do all of this every day for you. And yes, I am usually on the back end, but I am enjoying doing these announcements when needed. I do get a little nervous. You probably can all tell. Anyway, also, if you go to factsstillmatter.site, we have a merch store. There are all kinds of t-shirts. There are other little gifts. There's mugs. I have the I Am Fucking Zen mug. I have that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. But actually, Fax, I have a question for you.
Ask away.
And it relates to health insurance. Do you know what ICRA is?
ICRA? What's it?
Yeah.
ICRA?
Yeah, ICHRA. And it's a health insurance reimbursement plan that apparently is being floated by some people as an option for the company I work for. I don't have insurance through the company I work for. I have it through my husband's. But we are a smaller company here, and we are having trouble getting insurance companies to quote us because the rates are too high, or they just don't even want to quote us. So now it's called the Individual Coverage Health Reimbursement Arrangement, and it's a system where the company pays the employee so that they can go get their own insurance on the marketplace.
Oh,
and
interesting.
It sounds like a good idea, but it also could be really bad, because everybody's insurance could be a different cost.
Yeah,
so if my reimbursement is good and I'm a single healthy young person, which I'm not, but anyway, if I was, I could maybe get a really cheap plan that would be a good thing. But other people who are older, who have health problems, it would cost them more money to have insurance. And it just doesn't sound like a good idea to me.
Yeah, I have to look more into it. It's similarly with the ACA, because that's what I'm on currently with all these cuts coming. That just means everybody's healthcare is going to go up, right? So again, here we are, built on a mountain of lies, right, Brooke?
Right. Yeah. So I just it's recently come up because I'm friends with HR here, and she's actually in meetings to try to figure out the next step for health insurance with our company, and that was floated as an idea. And I thought of you because you've mentioned possibly losing your insurance on the ACA. And it's like, well, why would we want to put more people in the ACA if people are going to end up losing it? So. Yeah, exactly. But, you and I are so radical that we believe everybody should have health insurance. I mean, my gosh. I mean, all these problems would go away if we would just have universal health care. Gee. I agree. Thank you for jumping in today. I appreciate you. Hearts in the chat for Brooke, please. One of our amazing mods. And don't forget our Secretary of State. I appreciate you, friend. I love you. Thank you. See you later. Bye. Bye. It still boggles my mind. It literally boggles my mind that we are fighting over making sure people have food, water, shelter, and health care. I don't want to see houseless people in the street. I don't want to use involuntary lethal injections to remove them. I want to give them access to housing. I want to create safe needle sites to help people with substance use disorder. I want to create environments and pathways to access to mental health, job training. Other countries do it. Aren't we supposed to be the best? Why the fuck is it so hard? Why is it so difficult to feed kids? MAGA Republicans hate children. MAGA Republicans hate women. MAGA Republicans hate the poor. MAGA Republicans hate veterans and active duty of military. MAGA Republicans hate the disabled. You've got a script of ads you can write. Where are they? Where are they? MAGA Republicans want to keep America dumb. You got a laundry list of things I wrote, it's at my Substack. It's like the only I literally wrote the entire strategy for the Democrats. You can go read it. It's on my Substack. It's behind a paywall. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to do it. See, there you go. This is it. Running this shit, you'll win. The Democrats will never lose another election because the majority of people want it. Because we really want it. Drives me crazy. Hi, Cassie. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Good. So I just, I was listening to the behavioral health nurse I was just on earlier. And I am a substance abuse nurse. And I, too, work in a mental health hospital for the criminally insane. I'm not going to say what state I work for because the CEO of our company is a Trumper. He wears the gold shoes. His I work for the state. This is a public situation. So anyway, these guys are in prison because they've committed horrendous crimes and they were deemed insane at the time of their crime. Okay. And so he has, like his first Tesla says Grifter 1. His second Tesla says Grifter 2. And just recently in the last year, he has changed. Everybody we used to wear regular clothes. Everybody wears scrubs. It seems like he's slowly turning into the bad man with a mustache situation. We're all wearing the same thing now. And we're all, and of course the patient to employee ratio is, it should be 1 to 5. And like the nurse before me was saying, there's 1 nurse to 18 patients. And we have 22 on our unit. We have 1 nurse and 1 tech. So And we're also concerned because some of our patients that are undocumented have just disappeared, and there's no notes about them. There's no nothing. And some of our patients that are on hospice have been told to come back to the hospital because the CEO, not even about what's the right thing to do, doesn't want to pay for that. They want them to pass at our facility. So I'm super concerned about the little people that the trickle down. It is all coming down on all of us that actually care, and it's not about money or insurance or what you have or don't have.
That's such a great point, Cassie. I mean, I think big picture, and I'm sure you would agree that, a healthcare system that is profit driven is just absolutely despicable. It's criminal, in my opinion. It's criminal. Because what you're talking about is real. I mean, we know I worked in insurance for a long time, and one of the reasons I left the industry because I just couldn't tolerate any more of the bullshit, right? It's like, this is just not working for me. Other reasons too, but United Healthcare, for example, one of the largest insurers that we have in our country, 30% of their profit center is from claim denials. They build in claim denials so they can report to their shareholders about profit. And when they have a quarter where they decrease their profits, what do? They deny more claims. Mm-hmm. It is criminal. Our system, one of the larger the cost centers is because we have so many people that are uninsured. So we all share that expense. And there's people like you and other nurses in our community. And first of all, thank you for the amazing work that you do. I can't even imagine. Thank you so much. I'm sure you probably don't get nearly the gratitude and thanks that you deserve. So thank you very much on behalf of all of us. But here we are in a system that would just solve if we just as a society decided to say we want our system, we want our citizens to be smarter and healthier, how many problems would that solve?
What's the problem? I just don't understand what the problem is. And there's no wraparound services. So when these people's sentences are over, they've been with us for 10 and a half years, however long, 30 years, and they get out. There's no wraparound service. There's no, let's make sure they have health insurance. Let's make sure that they know where the pharmacy is to get their medicine, because it's already been proven by a court of law that when you don't take your medicine, you take people's lives. And so there's nothing to ensure that this isn't just again, we just need people in, people out, regardless of their sentence, regardless of their crime. We just need people in, we need people out. And if their insurance runs out, we don't see them again. And there's no notes in the system. There's no documentation in the system that the employees can see. What happened to this person? When did they leave? Did they end up going to the hospital first, like the medical hospital first? Like, where are these people? They just disappear. It's so weird, and it's so yucky feeling. It's such a yucky feeling. Everybody deserves the same amount of respect, regardless of what's going on.
I agree. I agree with you, and that's a fundamental difference between lots of millions of people in our country. Sadly, Cassie, again, thank you for what you do, and thank you for jumping in today. I appreciate it. You got it.
Thank you so much.
You got it. It's just a great point. Like, it's just we have a for-profit prison system in our country. we have a for-profit healthcare system. Every single opportunity that Republican politics gets to benefit those two industries, they do. They double down hard as the profits increase, as more and more black men get locked up for crimes that they shouldn't be. It's just one thing after another. They literally want to bring back slave labor. They literally Donald Trump talked about this, about giving farmers basically ownership responsibility over certain immigrants. People are dying. Women are dying in our country because they can't get health care. Because of conservative Christians. And nobody has a problem with that on the right? You pro-lifers? Literally, women are bleeding out in our country because they can't get access to reproductive health care. And we've got people in our government that want to say that we're out to protect the unborn. You don't give a fuck about the unborn. You don't care at all You're not pro-life. You're pro Handmaid's Tale. You're pro-control. There's millions of Americans in 2025 that don't think women should have the right to fucking vote. They want to get rid of no-fault divorce. Our president says, what's the big deal? A little domestic violence. Nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. That's why I do this. That's why. I watch my soon-to-be 18-year-old daughter leave the house every single day. And I have these conversations with her. And I get straight and I get graphic. We talk about this shit. She's applying for colleges. And we go through this fucking list where you could go to school. At the end of the day, nowhere's safe for her. Nowhere. I look about it. I have to look at it from the harm reduction side. If something were to happen, are you in a state where you could have access to life-saving care potentially? I do because I hate America. That's right. What's up? I care more about America than you do because I care more about your rights than you do. It doesn't have to be like this. Doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be like this. It bugs the shit out of me. It just really bothers me. It just really, really bothers me. In case you don't know. Yeah, we looked at Oregon, California. These are the conversations that we're having. These are the conversations that people should be having with their parents. Like we talked about before, whether or not we end up connecting the dots, connecting Mr. Robinson to the Groyper community, whether it was just a big shit post, was it just a big trolling exercise? I don't know. It doesn't change the fact that the Groyper community exists and it is indoctrinating young men, 12, 13-year-old boys that have become part of this community for a decade or more, and they are being radicalized. And it's apolitical. They're being nihilistically radicalized. And that should scare people. So where are our parents? You're going to be tested right now. You're going to be tested. I'm grateful that my kids are older, right? And thankfully I was actively involved in what legislation means and what this particular thing means. And my boys are constantly on the lookout for things that they want to remind their sister of. Look for this, look for that. This is a threat. This is a threat. And she complains about it, but she loves it deep down inside because she knows that they're looking out for her. We're taking her senior pictures today, by the way, with her brothers. It's just we can't make mistakes here. We got to get it right. We got to fucking get it right. We have to get it right. Got to be talking to your kids. You got to invade their privacy. You've got no choice. You've got to know where they're spending their time, especially the young boys in your life, especially the middle school age, because that's the target. That's who they're going after in their gaming communities, right? I'm nervous about that. Deeper than politics to me. This is deeper. It's deeper than politics to me. And I worry that people are just apathetic. Want to be their kid's friend. I'm not my kid's friend. I'm their parent. I worry about that.
Hello.
Hey, Money. How's it going?
Sorry, as soon as you invited me up, my child unplugged the Wi-Fi router.
Oh, I get that. How are you?
We are good. I just wanted to come on and say that there's going to be a global music festival this weekend entitled Draw the Line to coincide with the UN Global Climate Summit. So if you live outside of the US and you want to find a music festival near you, you can go to drawtheline.world, and there's a map of music festivals happening in more than 40 countries this weekend. And then if you live in the United States, you can go to makebillionaireспay.us. And there is a map of music festivals happening across the United States this weekend. The flagship event is going to be in New York, and the intention is to disrupt the arrival of the billionaires and dignitaries that are arriving in New York for the UN Global Climate Summit.
Ooh, love that.
And then if you join the Make Billionaires Pay Coalition, we have a major protest scheduled for New York on Saturday. But we also have several music festival. We have several music festivals planned for Saturday, but we also have some smaller coffee dates with some dignitaries where we're going to sit in and enjoy our coffee. Maybe in a place that they'd like us not to enjoy our coffee as the week goes on for the climate summit, so that we can demand global action when it comes to taxing the wealthiest among us.
I so love that. That's an example of doing something. Music festivals can be really fun. Be safe when you go to your music festivals, please. Be safe when you sit down for your cups of coffee, please. There's all kinds of information as to how you can attend a music festival safely, please. Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Yes.
Money, I think what we'll do.
MakeBillionairesPay.us.
Got it. MakeBillionairesPay.us. We will post that in the general chat in our Discord. Thank you for jumping in today and reminding us. I appreciate you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You got it. See you later. These are all things that we could be doing, right? We're just gonna sit by and just let the Constitution be torn up. You know, we've got plenty of things to be critical about in our country, but it's still ours. It is still we the people. It is still us. It's still about our communities. It's about our neighborhoods. It's about you know what we do. You want to know something funny? I'll share this quickly with you. They are they are cleaning the sewers along my street, and right out in front of my house is a storm drain. So they had the gigantic hose down into the ground, you know, cleaning things out. And one of the screens on the filter, I guess, broke loose, and all of the residue literally sprayed the front of my house. It was a literal shitstorm in front of Fax's crib yesterday. A literal shitstorm. And I couldn't walk outside to stop the guys from doing it because I couldn't get out the door. So I'm like yelling and they can't hear me. Finally, the person who was the flagging, doing the sign, the stop go sign, finally got their attention, and they stopped after 5 minutes. And they literally had to have a fire truck come by and hose down my house. So it still smells like spring around here, but it was appropriate. I think it was very symbolic to say, yeah, it's a literal fucking shitstorm. Literal fucking shitstorm. But we made it through, right? We made it. We survived. I can laugh about it now. In front of my house is as clean as it's ever been. Something I don't have to do now. Yeah, we're good. My concern is Kipper will find a spot on the ground where they missed and he'll roll in it. So yeah, the underground scene, the Goonies, exactly. You'll have to play. I don't want plants growing there because it's just grass. That, by the way, I worked really hard to get the grass looking really, really good. It's got some fertilizer, but anyway, it was a shit show, and I think we're kind of living through that. So I took one for the team, so to speak. I had the literal shit show. So you all can now use that as motivation to say, hey, Fax got shit on. Literally, at least I can do something. Whatever that something might be. So please go out and do something. Look, I don't know where any of this is going to go. I hear what Jay's saying about martial law and using the Emergency Power Acts and declaring, voiding elections. Maybe. I'm still not there yet. I've not allowed myself to go there. Because I want people to show up. I want people to overwhelm the polls. I want so many people showing up to vote that they got to leave the polls open until midnight. I want 75% of people who are registered to vote. I don't care who you vote for. Ultimately I do, but I want people to vote. I want people to participate in democracy. I want people to say, this is my country. And if the only thing I can do is vote, then fucking do it. If the only thing I can do is help drive people to the polls, then fucking do it. The only thing I can do is have a yard sale and donate all the proceeds from the yard sale to a local, I don't know, animal shelter. Then just fucking do it. You can laugh. It's okay, Cookie. It was pretty funny. Seriously, just do something. We can't. There's absolutely not on us to accept this bullshit. But if we don't do anything about it, then it's our fault. I wanted to get into another story that is probably going to go underreported. But it is a wild fucking story. So you may have heard that Trump has filed a $15 billion defamation lawsuit against the New York Times. I'm like, well, just another newspaper. He doesn't like coverage. I got reading a little bit about it. And it's a very diabolical little scheme, shocker, handed down by the Trump administration. President Trump has added the New York Times to the list of media companies he's challenged in court, filing a $15 billion defamation lawsuit that targets 4 of its journalists in a book and 3 articles published within a 2-month period before the last election. In a Truth Social post announcing the lawsuit early Tuesday, Trump called the Times, quote, one of the worst and most degenerate newspapers in the nation's history, and a virtual mouthpiece for Democrats. The lawsuit was filed in U.S. District Court in Florida. The Times called the lawsuit meritless in an attempt to discourage the independent reporting. Quote, the New York Times will not be deterred by intimidation tactics. Question then that we had to ask ourselves, why? Why is he suing them? Well, because the New York Times has been reporting on, the title of the story is Anatomy of Two Giant Deals. The UAE got chips. The Trump team got crypto riches. A lucrative transaction involving the Trump family's cryptocurrency firm and an agreement giving the Emiratis access to AI chips were connected in ways that have not yet been previously reported. This summer, Steve Witkoff, President Trump's Middle East envoy, paid a visit to the coast of Sardinia, a stretch of the Mediterranean Sea crowded with super yachts. On one of those extravagant vessels, Mr. Witkoff sat down with a member of the ultra-rich ruling family of the UAE. He was meeting with Sheikh Tahoun bin Zayed Al Nahyan, a trim figure in dark glasses who controls $1.5 trillion of the Emiratis' sovereign wealth. That would be trillion with a T. It was the latest engagement in a consequential alliance. Over the past few months, Mr. Witkoff and Sheikh Tahoun had become both diplomatic allies and business partners, testing the limits of ethics rules while enriching the president, his family, and his inner circle, according to an investigation by the New York Times, the same publication that Donald Trump has decided to sue for $15 billion. At the heart of their relationship are 2 multi-billion-dollar deals. One involved a crypto company founded by Witkoff and the Trump family that benefited both financially. Wow. The other involved a sale of valuable computer chips that benefited the Emiratis economically. Wow. While there's no evidence that one deal was explicitly offered in return for the other, the confluence of the 2 agreements is itself extraordinary. Taken together, they blurred the lines between personal and government business and raised questions about whether U.S. interests were served. In May, Mr. Witkoff's son, Zach, announced the first of the deals at a conference in Dubai. One of Sheikh Tahoun's investment firms would deposit $2 billion into World Liberty Financial, a cryptocurrency startup funded by the Witkoffs and Trumps. I laugh because it's just blatant fucking corruption. 2 weeks later, the White House agreed to allow, 2 weeks later, after that convenient deposit of $2 billion into World Liberty Financial, benefiting both the Witkoff, who negotiated the deal, and the Trump boys. 2 weeks later, the White House agreed to allow UAE access to hundreds of thousands of the world's most advanced and scarce computer chips, a crucial tool in the high-stakes race to dominate AI. Many of the chips would go to G42, a sprawling technology firm controlled by Sheikh Tahoun. So this is kind of the breakdown. Let me read this through. Sheikh Tahoon, Emirati royal in charge of sovereign wealth, invests $2 billion in Binance, a crypto exchange using digital coins, from World Liberty Financial, a crypto company owned and operated by Witkoff and the Trump family's envoy, Middle East envoy. Also secures access because of that investment. He secures access to valuable AI chips in an agreement with the White House, including David Sachs and Steve Witkoff. Like, no big deal, right? No big deal. Once again, our friends on the right, thank you, AD, for that. Hearts in the chat for Amy Don, please, for clipping that for me. Our friends on the right will just find some way to justify it. They will find some way to spin this. But what about Biden? What about Biden and Hunter and all that corruption, the Biden crime family? Even though we didn't find shit, what about Biden? The negotiations involved another key White House official with ties to the tech industry and to the Middle East, David Sachs, a longtime venture capitalist. Mr. Sachs serves as the administration's AI and crypto czar, a newly created position that just happened to coincide with all this shit that's allowed him to shape tech policy even as he continues to work in Silicon Valley. The Times found that the agreements were intertwined in ways that have not been previously reported, and they provoked concerns about conflicts of interest even from staff members in the Trump administration. Times reviewed correspondence and interviewed more than 75 people, many of whom spoke on the condition of anonymity. Of course they would, to describe sensitive matters, to reveal new details that show how the deal got done. Steve Witkoff, okay, Trump's envoy, same guy, by the way, that was in the fucking Kremlin when the Signal chat story got exposed. He was literally in the Kremlin, right? Literally at the timestamps of his communications. And Steve Witkoff was sitting in the Kremlin when Mike Walls sucked in the Atlantic journalist. Nothing to see here. Steve Witkoff advocated to give the Emiratis access to the chips at the same time that his and Mr. Trump's family businesses was landing the crypto investment. Corruption. Again, Steve Witkoff in the Trump cabinet, influential in these transactions and deals, advocated to give the Emiratis access to the chips at the same time he was investing into their crypto companies. Okay. Mr. Sachs was a key figure in the chip negotiations, raising alarm from some Trump administration officials who believed that it was improper for a working venture capitalist to help broker deals that could benefit his industry and investors in his company. He received a White House ethics waiver allowing him to participate. Okay. A senior executive based in the UAE worked simultaneously for World Liberty and Sheikh Tahoon's G42, creating a link between the two companies as the Emiratis were pushing to gain access to AI chips. Some Trump administration officials tried to limit the chips deal, but an unexpected intervention by conservative agitator Laura Loomer changed the power dynamic within the White House in the UAE's favor. What did Laura get? I wonder. Representatives for the White House and World Liberty both denied any connection between the two deals, with an administration spokeswoman calling the crypto transaction, quote, totally unrelated to any government business. Okay. World Liberty said in May that Mr. Witkoff was fully divesting from the company. A disclosure document made public on Saturday showed that, as of August, he still has a financial interest in the firm. So, again, World Liberty said in May that Mr. Witkoff was fully divesting from the company. Like, what, after the deal was done? after he's made billions of dollars. A disclosure document made public this past Saturday showed that as of the end of August, he still had financial interests, though it did not reveal the value. The White House spokeswoman said in a statement that, quote, Mr. Witkoff was still in the process of divesting. An acknowledgement that he has not divested. Okay. Asked whether Mr. Witkoff violated federal ethics rules, the spokeswoman responded that Mr. Witkoff was, quote, working with ethics officials and counsel to ensure he is in full compliance. The White House statement also said that Mr. Sachs had acted appropriately. The White House statements. The White House statement also said that Mr. Sachs had acted appropriately. That would be like the chickens in the hen house, and the wolf says, those chickens deserve to be eaten. Mr. Sachs has no financial interest in the UAE chip deal, according to a White House spokesperson. I don't even know what to say about this. It's just like, just look at the thread. These things are happening simultaneously. The sheikh, again, this guy has control over $1.5 trillion in Emirati asset. Okay? Invests $2 billion, which is like walking around cash. Invests in Binance. Let me make sure I have the thread right. Using digital coins from World Liberty Financial, a crypto company owned and operated by Witkoff and the Trump family. Of course, Steve Witkoff is the Middle East emissary. Simultaneously, he secures access to valuable chips, he being the sheikh, for his company G42. Chips in an agreement with the White House. Gets access in agreement with the White House. Again, these are all things that are happening simultaneously, according to this reporting. And then David Sachs, the Silicon Valley AI guy, and Steve Witkoff, both connected to these companies, stand to benefit. Sachs is Trump's AI and crypto czar and technology investor. Somebody want to tell me that that's not corrupt? I mean, how else that, again, I've gone on the record to say that I believe that the single biggest political scandal in our nation's history is the Epstein scandal, and I stand by that just because of the severity of what it is and what it involves. But every single day we learn something new. It does smell it. Paddle Kid, you're right, but I think the Kushner deal isn't even close to this one. Because you could draw a line to say, well, he's no longer affiliated with the White House with Kushner, but this is actually an active cabinet member. I'm not a cabinet member, an active, Trump advisor and or representative, the Middle Eastern envoy. Yeah, you're right. Don't forget, Mike Johnson did say that. Mike Johnson said Donald Trump's corruption's right out in the open. Yeah, it is. But what about Biden? What about Biden? Hunter Biden sold a picture for like $4 million. Fucking Biden. It's just, I've watched you for 3 years and never made mention of Epstein. Okay, artsy. Bye-bye. You don't care about Epstein. You don't care. You don't care about crimes against kids. You just don't. You don't care. If you did, then call it out. Call it out. I call it out. Go for it. I talk about it a lot. I talk about it all the time because I actually care about crimes against children. Do you? Do you? Do you care? Do you care about crimes against kids? Do you? Do you care about the crimes against children? Because that's what these were girls. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old girls. Do you care about that? Do you care about any of that? Do you care? Why aren't you on the phone contacting your cowardice Republic? Oh, that's right, because you're a coward too. Got it. Got it. Yes, I agree, Kipper. First of all, people who make dog toys, how dare you make dog toys that have squeaks in them? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what's on your BDSM chart? That's what I want to know. Anywho. The blatant corruption. It is right out in the open. And you notice, here's the thing about it. The New York Times is like, fucking bring it. Because what Donald Trump does is he uses lawsuits in an attempt to intimidate. Okay? He uses lawsuits in an attempt to intimidate, and some people will settle, some won't. But what the New York Times is basically saying is like, exactly, man. Bring it the fucking on. We'll do discovery. Bring it on. Let's go. Bring it on. He'll drop his lawsuit. He won't tell his base. He'll go out on the record because he made this claim on Lie Social. Gotta find it because it's buried. This is, you guys are going to laugh at this one. This one's fucking wild. Wild. By the way, have you noticed there's been no statements from the White House specifically about that the press conference yesterday with the district attorney in Utah? I wonder why. Wonder why. See if I can find this. I'm getting amazing feedback on my lawsuit against the New York Times. The predominant feeling and sentiment is, quote, "It's about time," in all caps. The case was filed in the great state of Florida. The radical left media is working hard to destroy the USA. We're going to stop them at each and every level. President DJT. Okay. Where is it? May not even be worth it for me to find at this point. Let me see. Hang on. God, they're so fucking desperate. I don't recommend you trolling True Social. I don't recommend it for your health. But every once in a while, it's kind of fun. I must admit. I don't know where it went, but it's just the fucking stupid ass shit. He's going after the. Is this it? No. Yeah, here you go. Okay. Buckle up. Today, I have the great honor of bringing a $15 billion defamation and libel lawsuit against the New York Times, one of the worst and most degenerate newspapers in the history of our country, becoming a virtual mouthpiece for the radical left Democrat Party. I view it as the single largest illegal campaign contribution ever. Their endorsement of Kamala Harris was actually put dead center on the front page of the New York Times, something heretofore unheard of. That's just not... Anyway, heretofore, it's not a word he uses. Who wrote this for him? The Times has engaged in a decades-long method of lying about your favorite president, me, my family, business, the America First movement, MAGA, and our nation as a whole. I am proud to hold this once respected rag responsible, as we are doing with the fake news networks such as our successful litigation against George Stephanopoulos, ABC, Disney, and 60 Minutes, CBS, Paramount, etc., who knew that they were falsely smearing me through a highly sophisticated system of document and visual alteration, which was, in effect, a malicious form of defamation and thus settled for record abuse, which is both unexpected and illegal. The New York Times has been allowed to freely lie, smear, and defame me for far too long. And that stops now. The suit is being brought in the great state of Florida. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. You know what's missing from this? You know what's missing? All the details of why the New York Times wrote that story. Because the mouth breathers be like, hey, you guys, you see that? See what fucking Trump's doing? He's a fucking man. He's fucking suing that liberal rag, the New York Times, because they said mean things about him. He's such a tough guy going after them. Nobody else would do that. Dude, are you saying you're cool with Donald Trump just suing people because they don't like the words they say about him? You're damn right, libtard rag. What about Biden? I want off this fucking ride. Let me do a couple of quick thank yous. Hey, there's still like 800 people in here. We're like $140 away. Can we bang this out? Maybe $1, a couple bucks here and there. Appreciate y'all. Let me thank some people. Thank you to Bridget. Thank you so very, very much. I appreciate you, Bridget. Thank you, Robin, the $2 train. Let me think also. Tracy, thank you so very, very much. Veronica, thank you so very, very much. You guys are great. Appreciate y'all very much. Let me head on over here. Heather, thank you so much. Nikki, thank you very much for your 20. Appreciate you. Keep it up, she says. Jolie, thank you for your kind contributions to show my appreciation for all you do. Thank you, Jolie. I appreciate you so very, very much. Thank you, Heather, on the dollar train. Appreciate you guys very, very much. Look, you know, your moderates block objective commentary, so this is an echo chamber. I'll prove it. So, Samson, if you had 0 followers, we might take what you said kind of seriously, but you don't. So we don't. Remember, never relent on the truth. Ever. You will never lose a legitimate debate in political discourse when you have the truth on your side. Violent extremism comes from the right. It's not a two sides issue. Yes, it happens on the left, but it's exponentially more by factors of 10 on the right. They're the ones that perpetrate political violence. They're the ones that perpetrate violence in general. They support a man who they said was going to be looking out for them. And we've got numerous examples of his corruption. He's got the people in his party that were supposed to divest. Trump hasn't even divested. So his crypto company, World Liberty Financial, started by his boys. You think he's not going to take advantage of that money? Of course he is. Selling access, gold cards, whatever it might be. Absolute corruption. It is absolute corruption. We will not let them forget about the Epstein files, though, will we? We will not let them forget that their boy's name is all fucking over it. And I was thinking about this, and I wrote this down because I want to make sure I can look at it. Hold on. And I never really thought about it this way, and then I saw somebody talking about it, and I wrote it down, and I want to make sure that I can remember it, because I thought the words were pretty good. Yes, I wrote them, but still. Hold on a second. Okay, so what if Trump wasn't just a client, but actually a core part of Epstein's trafficking machine itself? He owned Miss Teen USA. He ran an international modeling agency, decades of access to underage girls. Why is the legacy media not talking about that? Why? So I think about the old hair club for men ads. Not only am I a client, but I'm also the president. What if Trump wasn't just a client, but actually a core part of Epstein's trafficking machine itself? He owned Miss Teen USA. We know he bragged about walking in on teenage girls in various, international travel as well, in various states of undress. Teenage girls, not women. Even then, it would be fucking horrible. But teenage girls, they've sworn to it. There's testimony, but MAGA doesn't believe them. I do. I believe women. He owned Miss Teen USA. He ran an international modeling agency. Decades of access to underage girls. Decades. So, let's assume for 1 second, that he didn't commit any of these horrible crimes against girls. Even though we've got all kinds of evidence, again, because MAGA doesn't believe women, I'll take their word for it that it happened. No doubt about it. Deserves to stay in court, so let's get to court. Even if none of those things were true, right? If none of those things were true, somebody explain this then. Because we know that a lot of the young girls that were involved in this were recruited. Where were they recruited from? Were they recruited from Mar-a-Lago? Yes. Were they recruited from modeling agencies? Yes. Were they recruited from pageants? Yes, they were. Who owned a modeling agency? Donald Trump did. Who owned a pageant? Donald Trump did. Who was he connected to? Les Wexner, Victoria's Secrets, schools. Things that make you go, Yeah, they're children. They're kids. They're girls. They're children. They're children. See, people like Trufford don't care because Trufford's probably a predator too, or gets off on it. What's your corn search after you're done? After you're done surfing trans porn, which I'm not judging. Go for it. Knock yourself out. What are you searching next? Wonder what's in your search history. Anywho, All right, I think we'll wrap there. Who are we going to raid, mods? Who's out there? This is some bullshit. Exactly. Am I being a good boy today? 10 minutes ago, be the first. I'm not going to get a shin kick today. If you know, you know. Oftentimes, I kind of need it, to be honest. I kind of like it. I'm just saying, just judging, don't judge. Who are we going to raid today, friends? You're welcome. Appreciate you. RTP is going to be live in a few. We all him a raid today, guys. If you please, shin kick activated. We're going to raid RTP. I know he's not going to be on until later, but please head on over there and raid him and thank him on behalf of us for being there today. Thank you, everybody. Mods, you guys are the fucking best. Love you all. Smartest chat on TikTok. These are heavy conversations we have, but I rely on your brains, guys. I get into these in-depth conversations about really complicated shit sometimes because I know you're fucking smart and I know you appreciate it. RTP's at 12:30. Olive is live now. Go raid Olive.